have Miss Melinda Upchurch from Siler Presbyterian Church's Children's Ministry, who's agreed to say our invocation for us tonight.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this evening. Thank you for every person present. Lord, we pray for the leaders of the town council. Lord, we pray that you give them wisdom and discernment and guidance. And Lord, we pray for our community, for its safety, for its workers. And Lord, we just pray that you would bless this community greatly. In Jesus' name,
Amen. That leads us to public comments. All right. Mr. John
So John Lepke, 5503 Silver Creek Drive. A very long time ago, perhaps a year, maybe, council was approached by county and local fire officials with a request to change from one kind of tax thing to a different kind of fire tax thing. And one of the quid pro quos asked for at that time was that the community I live in, Silver Creek, is currently split 50-50 between Mineral Springs Fire District and Wesley Chapel. So if I have a heart attack, I've got to wait for him to come from Mineral Springs when I got Wesley Chapel around the corner. Council did make a request to those fire officials that they make all of Silver Creek Wesley Chapel Fire District, and they said they would, and they haven't. I just got my new property appraisal thing, and I'm still in Mineral Springs. So the ask is, can council please follow up with the fire people and get them to change Silver Creek to all Wesley Chapel? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lepke. Then that brings us to Miss Melinda Upchurch. If you will come to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
Hi, I'm Melinda Upchurch. I am the Family Life Coordinator at Siler Presbyterian on Weddington Road, just across the street. And we're just here to be in support of the town and the council. And we just want to make sure that you guys know that if you want to do any kind of community events or anything like that, our facilities are available and open for you all to use at any point in time. So we just want to say thank you and let us be a part of whatever you're doing. We'd love to be roped in.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, and then Miss Kay Persing. You'll state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Kater Singh, and I'm at 1013 Garden Rose Court. I'm here representing the Rotary Club of Waxhaw Weddington. And if you're not familiar with the Rotary Club, it is a global organization with 1.2 billion members worldwide. Our chapter here in the Wesley Chapel area is the Waxhaw Weddington, and we were chartered in 2004, so we are celebrating our 20th year. Currently we have about 50 members, and we meet at the Weddington Swim and Racket Club. Every Thursday morning from 7:30 to 8:30 we have breakfast. Everybody is welcome to join us for breakfast. Some of the stuff that the Rotary Club does is that it focuses on service above self, and stuff in the area particularly that we've done is serve a Common Heart, we serve at the community shelter, we serve with the Christmas Bureau. We present over 100 flags in Waxhaw and around the Weddington Town Hall for the 4th of July, and then we put up about 40 flags on any other patriotic holidays. And our literacy program last year, we gave over 900 dictionaries to the 3rd graders in UCPS. What I'm here today to do is to make an introduction for people that don't know who we are, that we're in the area, and we're here to collaborate with you. We've already collaborated with the Dogwood Park, because in 2016, when Laura Bush wanted to save the monarchs, we collaborated with you to put a butterfly garden in the Dogwood Park, and we still maintain that today. The other thing that I wanted to ask is if you know of anybody that loves service and is willing to help us out. We have an international project that we're doing on May 10th. It's a Saturday. We'll be at the Waxhaw Elementary School from 9 until about noon. We are packing 20,000 meals for Rise Against Hunger. And what my ask is if you or anybody you know, or any organizations, the Girl Scout, Boy Scouts, churches, if you know of anybody that's interested, if you could just pass the word, I have some flyers, I can just leave them on the back table. And again, everybody's welcome to come have breakfast with us at Thursday mornings at the Weddington Swim and Racket Club.
Good work, flyers.
Thank you. All right, that's all I have signed up. Anybody else? All right, sir, if you'll come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
My name's Robert Kinnicky. I live at 809 Bradford Place, Rosa Chapel, North Carolina. Back in February, I made a complaint about 706 Pilgrim Forest Drive. Lawn's 2 foot high. There's car parts. It's getting worse now. They're running a mechanic shop out of it. If you drive there now, they got vans that are pulling in with like equipment and working on cars. There's mufflers all over. The whole lawn's high. The lawn hasn't cut since last year. There's brown grass this high all over. It looks like they're running business out of it. There's 3 or 4 new cars all the time, and there's 8 guys, 2 vans, and 4 cars on the street working on cars jacked up. I mean, I complained about the garbage and whatnot, and in 2 months it's getting worse. I mean, you go down the street, you got to go around cars that double parking and whatnot. It's a mess.
Will you say the address again?
706 Pilgrim Forest Drive. And then I'd like to address 918 Bradford Place. This house has 7 cars that have been not running, not registered for years, up on ramps. Some are covered, some are not. He's got a well house in front of the property. The roof is off for like a year and a half. It had a door. The door's on the ground. He's got like a walkway over the ditch that's going down. It's a big eyesore. I have some property that I had gone into some contract, and people pulled out because the family came. They drove around the neighborhood between this one looking like a repair shop and the other one looking like a junk shop. They wound up forfeiting their earnest money. Didn't want to live in the neighborhood. So I'm asking for your help on this matter.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else before we move on? Okay. All right. That brings us to the additions, deletions, and adoption of agenda. I do need to add, make an item 13A. I need to add actually make it 13B. I need to add a closed session for HR purposes.
I'd like to add 5C, reference to the American flag.
What?
5C,
5C.
the purchase. C as in Charles. It's under the finance of 5C.
To purchase a new flag. Okay.
What I missed was purchase.
All right. Anyone else?
I'd like to add 5D under financial report. What we discussed just before the meeting, bring council and the public up to speed on the
NC 84 project.
NC 84 project and the wording of the email that went out to the public. Just so everyone is, council and public is on the same page.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, Mike, that's what item number?
I'll put it under 5D, under finance,
Okay.
NC 84 project, and was there another one? Or just
just that.
And I'd like
I'm
to,
sorry. Why wouldn't we just do that under 12, where we're talking about the NCDOT projects?
B2, 12B2?
I'd like to be part of the finance office.
All right.
We're not going to get into the weeds, we're just going to clarify the email that came out a little over a week ago.
okay. Well, then I'll take that opportunity to add something to 12.
Okay.
12B, let's make it sub-item 5, just 2 traffic concerns that were raised this month by various residents.
Okay. Anything else, council? All right, then I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So motion?
Is there a second?
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor? And then I would entertain a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
So motion?
All in favor?
Second.
Any good comment? All in favor? And then that leads us to the finance officer report.
Okay. Good afternoon, council. And a little report here.
Kathy, before you get into the finance officer's report, is the new software, the new computer system made things easier for you?
Not yet, but I will.
Yeah, we will, okay.
Okay, so
Do you
I
have-
just
do you
wanted
have
to
hard
say,
copies for us?
we're going to talk about that in a few minutes, but just an overall, what?
Do you have hard copies for us? I didn't get any finance reports
I
in
have
advance
not
of the
yet.
meeting.
I'm going to go over it here, and then I'm going
This
to
is just really hard for me to read and see. So, never mind. You just do you.
I know.
Well,
That's all right.
I'd like to add to that question. I don't think we received hard copies last month.
We have not received a financial report for this month, and we didn't get one last month, except a very brief one.
Okay. Is there a reason that we're not
February,
getting hard
In
copies?
February, you got a snapshot, a high level, which
Maybe
I
that's what I'm thinking
explained that we were in the conversion process and that the percentages there showed that we were at that time 75% and that the finances were good. The next month, I sent you a report via email like I typically do, but I wasn't here, and I understood there were some concerns. So this month, I have just finished reconciling some of the different funds. It's a whole different procedure. So I finished that, and I wanted to walk through it before the public saw it, before, I want to make sure if you have any questions, I want to walk through it so you know how to look at it. And then when I give it to you, when I send it to you via email, I can run you hard copies for your box if you'd like, but you typically get them in email. So I was going to go over it here with you and show you what it looks like. And I do realize that, this is all we have to show you on an overhead at this time.
I guess the bigger question is, in the future, will we get hard copies in advance?
We did last time.
Yes.
And
Typically, you get them in email, but I can
which is
make them a hard
fine,
copy if
but
you
we,
like.
but we get them before the meeting, and to say you wanted to share something with us before we went to the public, this is a public meeting, so.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was my understanding that council liked to have the finances before the public saw it, and maybe I
Well,
misunderstood.
because they come to us in email before the meeting to
How would you
review.
like- How would you like it to flow?
Just like we always have, to receive the financials prior to this meeting so that we can review those.
Okay, so you want them in your box?
I don't
Email.
know, email copies are fine, but I would just like to have some exposure to those before we're going through this.
Okay. We've certainly done that for 2 years. We just changed systems, and so this is how I wanted to present it to you, but I will make sure to do it the way you would like it
Okay.
next time.
Well, changing the systems, I understand, changing the procedure, I don't think those go hand in hand. I would still prefer to have the copies prior to the meeting.
And I hope to see the same level of detail we had before. That summary we saw in February was not sufficient. I think we
Agreed.
said that last month.
Let me walk through what we have, and then we'll talk about it further. All right, so basically, we got new funding. A little while back, a project was estimated, the NC April project was estimated to be a little over $7 million. They came in with hard numbers. We were awarded
Excuse me,
$3.1 million.
Kathy, I'm sorry. I can't read it if you keep moving it.
Sorry. Sorry. Okay, so the supplement funding awarded was $3.1 million. The CRTPO stated match was 30%, which was $1.3 million. We are partnering with NCDOT and the county. NCDOT had $400,000 in spot funding, and the rest was to be split between the county and the village. So the new match will be 443. I think it goes up to 464,000. Here I had 443, but I've got an ordinance for you next month. I was just giving you a general idea of how the numbers are going to change because we have hard numbers on this project. I wanted to just bring up that our tax collection rate as of the end of March, we're at 99.83%, meaning 99.83% of what's out there to be collected has been collected. I wanted to note that at the meeting before last, we had asked If we could get just sort of a soft quote from TTG to do some work on the dam, it came in too high, so we just resorted back to waiting for FEMA. There is the pond to be mucked at $250,000. I think John's going to bring up later. He had a great idea to go ahead and try to use that money before we lose it in October, so he was listening to the report a couple months back. The ordinance 20 that you saw in the consent agenda, the concurrence for the speed limit that you approved at the last meeting when I wasn't here requires an ordinance, so I put that together for you, and that's what you approved, was that ordinance to go along with that concurrence for the change in the speed limit. The project 4827 for TS Helene for the preparation for Thunderstorm Helene, we have been approved for, it keeps moving at 75 and then 90%. So anywhere, we're looking to get back around $49,000 on that. It will be put back to the dam project, and then we're looking at having $2,500 in management costs. So that money will come back to us. We did get our property valuation reports back from Union County. We have $2 billion in real property value, which equates to about $375,000 for the real property. Now, I don't know if you remember, but a couple months ago, I had budgeted about $2,000 for public service company, and then lo and behold, I didn't know where it came from because it just disappeared before my very eyes. But I realize now, I've learned, basically, that the real, the personal, and the public service companies, they all get kind of blended into one number. So for FY 26-27, we're looking at about $384,000 compared to $246,000, and that has to do with the property valuation that we received. The registered motor vehicle is at $169,603,856, million. And that equates to $27,000 compared to $20,000 last year, so that's an increase of $7,581.
And I need to get the tax guy on our agenda. He wants to come back around and speak about the property reevaluation. I'll try to get him on the May agenda.
Okay. Now, when council was presented with the contract and the transition to Black Mountain Software, you also agreed to go to their GL system. North Carolina received, I don't know, $10, $15 million in grant funds because of the number of small municipalities who were not doing government financing using fund accounting methodology. So we were fortunate to be included in this group. Government does not budget, the legislative body does not budget or manage the budget by line item like you're accustomed to seeing. So the NCLM recognizes this, and they have put together a little bit higher level, like you'd see in real budgeting. Real budgeting doesn't list out sand, playground equipment, it's just all under one group. You will see each month, you will see the balance sheet, the income statement, you will see the budget variances. And you will also see a list of expenses that incurred during the month. It is very difficult to try to put marbles on the table and push them left and right when you're doing fund accounting and government accounting. It is what it is. We read it at a high level, and we let you know if there are any issues, and when we report to you, we show you where your percentages fall in line so that we are not going over. It's okay if we go over on a line item. It's not okay if we go over the ordinance roll-up totals. So basically what you're looking at here is, this is your balance sheet for March. Your current assets show that we have $374, as of the end of March, $374,000 in our central depository, and we have $1.8 million in our North Carolina Capital Management Trust. Interest rates are coming down just a little bit. We're in what they call stagflation, which is just an odd economic environment where monetary fiscal policy, they don't usually work the way that they're supposed to. So we're just sort of in a hold pattern right here. They anticipate the interest rate to go down, so you'll see when we budget, we'll budget around 2.5% as opposed to the 4% that we have been budgeting and expecting. Now, the fiscal year property tax, we got $572 in. We have $266 that we will start to ask back for reimbursement at the end of the year. And these right here, this engineering fee receivable, this is a concern I have right here because previously we kind of worked out a little system where when Bonnie was here, I would tell Bonnie would get something from the engineer, and Bonnie would tell me, hey, I got a project that's going to cost 4 hours of work. So I would take her fee plus her $20 fee, or $25 fee, and I would bill the developer, and he paid me immediately. But since we've transitioned from Bonnie to a new engineer with Lavelle, I'm not getting those numbers, so I have money uncollected, and it's just kind of sitting there to the tune of about $1,100. We did have about 7,000, but we've collected most of it, so it's not looking terribly bad. We have $2 million in fixed assets. Don't worry, I'm not going to go through every line item. These right here are just current liabilities, checks payable. Down here, when you get through the balance sheet, you've got your equity, and you see it balances. Now, this report is your income statement, so you can see, this is one of the nice things about this report. Like, let's just take the first line, current year ad valorem taxes, you have the current month, we brought in $2,800. Year to date, we brought in $245,000, and then the budget is $246, so we are only short by $900 to meeting our goal. So you can see very clearly where we are in budget, what that percentage is. Very easy to read. This number over here, this is your administration 5210. These are called object codes here. The uniqueness about this system here is that whether it's planning or parking rec or administration, all of these numbers are going to be the same. So 513 is always going to be staff development and travel. So in this setup, we can see 5210 administration, and we can see what travel and development is. We didn't spend anything here. Year to date, that's what we have. The third column is what we budgeted, and then we have our variance over on this side. So I'm still kind of looking through these numbers, given our transition, making sure everything's lined up. I'm confident that most of it's where it should be, but I still like to do a double check, look over. Now, this right here, 5310, you can see is your public safety. This special activities, right here, just $130,000. It's gone up to $138,000 for next year. That's the cost of our policemen. I think we are looking at a couple of policemen in our budget, so keep that in mind. They now cost $138,000 a year. 5510 is our park and rec. So if you look down here again, we have those same supplies as 551 across the board, no matter which department you're looking at. So you see right here, we have park and rec 5510, supplies 551, and then you see planning and department, or planning and development, you see 551 supplies. And that's important because when we look at the next report, this is called an object summary, budget versus actual. So here you see this 4X. If you come down here and you look at supplies 551, you can see supplies across the board, how we're doing as a whole on our supplies. The thing that's different in this setup here is advertising is advertising. Maintenance and repair building, that's everything we do with the building. Utilities and communication are all our phones and our utilities. Bank fees are that. Dues and subscriptions are CRTPO, NCLM, all the things that we have dues and subscriptions to. Collection fee is what we pay the county, and then you'll find down here, you've got our election expense, which will be coming up this coming year, contingencies and miscellaneous. So we can see here are these expenses, and then down here they flow to these, but they're by object code, which is the same for every object. Down here we have our statement of revenue. This is our revenue, budget versus actual. If you look at just the first line on this one, I'll point out a couple things. Your tax revenue, your ad valorem current year, you received $2,800 this month. Year to date, you received $245,000. Estimated revenue is $246,000, so we're $900. We're almost there. So we've almost collected. Over here, we've got our intergovernmental fees. You can see our ABC revenues, utility franchise, Down here, we've got our investment income, so you can see clearly what we're getting. Most of this is coming from your NCC&T. You can see that we were up to 7,000 in the last couple months, but as the interest rates start to come down and float down a little bit, you can see our numbers are coming down. So you see a lot more information in a lot clearer format with this system. Let's see. Then the next section, there's like 5 sections. This is your expenditures, budget versus actual. And if you'd like to take a look at that, I'll hold it still and just let you look at it so you can sort of see what that looks like.
Kathy, we'll be getting a hard copy of this.
Absolutely. I only held back this time because I wanted to walk you through it so that when you look at it, you know what you're looking at. You're not trying to figure it out. And I do apologize if that's not what you wanted.
No, we would prefer to see in advance than ask you questions if we didn't understand.
You're using generally accepted accounting principles, and I think we're all used to
We're
that.
using government standard accounting principle.
Well, you're using a standard system that I think we've all been around long enough to understand and see. But if we didn't see it in advance, it's kind of hard to read that and ask questions based on.
John's gonna solve that problem for us in a few budget.
I do
budget.
apologize. I just heard you had a lot of concerns last month, so I really didn't give you anything to look at much. So I wanted to make sure that if you had any concerns, you had any questions, these are the standard reports you will be getting going forward. It has your balance sheet, your income statement. Yes, you're correct. Those are your standard formats. And then you'll have an object comparison. You'll have your revenue and your expense, actual variance. And then you'll have, at the very end, you'll have a detail. Everything that's spent by object code will show up down beneath. So you can look at every single item to be sure it's what you wanted money spent on. Here's Stephen's portable toilets, everything that we wrote down in here.
The reason there were so many comments last month was the only thing we got was a very high-level report that just listed those top-level lines, and there was no detail or anything else for us to really understand. And we are used to seeing that kind of detail of what adds up, especially as we come into budget season. And I do believe I made a request, I'm not the minutes to reflect it, to make sure we do have those detailed levels so when we do the budget, we can look. And the other request was to be able to see how much was the original budget and how much had been moved from contingency or other items so we could see that total difference. Because I feel like that every year it just kind of creeps up on us and we wanted to see that differently.
It'll be a little bit harder this year as some of the line items have moved, but we'll be able to figure it out.
What do you mean, like your contingency?
If contingency started at $30,000 and we end up the year at $10,
Right.
I'd like to know where it went, because when you make the adjustments every month, because you amend the ordinance every month as you do this, then what happens is something that started out budgeted for $1,000 could end up at $5,000, but you look at the report and it's like, oh, it's okay, and it's not okay, because we move money, and we just kind of lose track of that over time, and as we're trying to figure out the budget year over year, that's really helpful to understand.
And I will tell you that you're absolutely right. If you want to keep tack on that tighter, the budget request, the budget amendment request that I give you outlines every movement we make. I try not to move the budget. I try to wait until December, and then I do one cleanup budget to help us manage, and then I look at it again March, April to make sure that we're kind of coming in and targeting. But some municipalities move it every single month if something's out of balance. I don't. I do it in December, and I do it again the first quarter so that we can see where we are as we glide in. Again, council is only held to the ordinance. So when we actually do our budgeting, government does not allow us to look at where we were or what we did. Government requires us to do a zero-based budget, which means start over from scratch. Now, what that means is we actually recalculate everything, and then you do look at last year to make sure you're not missing anything and add it in. But it isn't a situation where you can just pop 3% on it and you have to understand it. We have to do a zero-based budget.
We're all very familiar with that. This is not our first rodeo.
Good to know.
So this weekend, Kathy will email us all copies of this report. Any further questions about this report? Okay. All right.
Alrighty, and then let's see if I have anything else for you. We do need to do a budget meeting. I'm not sure if you would like to get together and do a budget meeting, which really consists of your brainstorming to see what items you would like to have in the budget, what kind of capital project items. I mean, if you'd like to get together and help me calculate what the light bills are, I don't mean to sound petty, but if that's what you want to do, we'll do that. We'll go through every line item if you like, but what really helps me is to know what, based on your survey, how would you like to serve with the citizens? How would you like to, in essence, grow the amenities of the town? What kind of events, additional events would you like to have that we don't already have? What is it that's going to increase the budget, and how would you like to pay for that?
And we did ask departments to have their request in by what?
May,
May 1st?
sometime, I don't know, beginning of May or end of May, but May.
It was definitely beginning. So council, if you can, like I have asked, I know that like, for example, I'm asking John to include a part-time person in his budget and Amy going full-time in her budget. So if there are other things that you would like Kathy to be able to work out those numbers for in advance, like if you are a proponent of additional deputies, we need to know that now so we can calculate some figures, or if there are other things before we sit. I would like to do that prior to sitting down and having a budget meeting.
And I would like to add to that individually you can ask for anything that you want. I'll put it in the budget. It's not my place to tell you yay or nay. I'll put it in there. When we come back together and you look at the numbers, collectively you will decide what stays and what goes.
So I would like to go ahead and set a budget meeting for early May, council?
What?
Early May?
Nothing colors for all the council members?
Is this going to be afternoon or
No, it'd have to be,
evening?
When you're not happy.
right, it'd have to be at least 6 p.m., right? We've done 6 p.m., I think, the last couple budget meetings.
What about the night of the week? Is that something that everybody... Is there a particular night of the week that everybody's looking at? Do we still want to do Mondays or?
All depends on which day.
So is this going to be a pre-budget meeting or a budget meeting?
I would like all the numbers in so we have a budget meeting.
Okay.
Yeah,
just wanna
I don't-
clarify that. There's usually we've done it in the past when we just sat down and done a marathon meeting, and there's other times when we sat down and we made a workshop, and then a different day we go into the actual budget meeting.
I would like to go into it with a proposed, with everyone's ideas, and we cut and paste. And,
Hammer it out.
yep. And if it takes 6 hours, we're here 6 hours. Hopefully it won't,
Just, again,
but it has.
one thing that I've gone through with all these budgets is the fewer the surprises, the better.
Right. So, May 5th. Yay or nay?
I don't know where I'm gonna be.
I can do it on May 5th. I cannot be here, I couldn't be here before 6 o'clock. 6:30 may be better,
6:30?
yeah.
Good? May 5th?
As I said, I don't know where I'll be, so I'm not here, I'm not here.
7:30, I heard.
6:30.
6:30 on the 5th of May.
We'll try for that. So if everybody can have their requests in to Kathy as soon as possible for potential things you would like to see. I do know based on the last WIMA meeting that the county is probably going to be asking all municipalities to include money for Meals on Wheels into their program. So we probably want to include, I don't even know that we're actually going to use any of that line item this year, but we probably need to include it.
Add a Meals on Wheels category.
Well, we did take money from somewhere to do it this year. Didn't we put,
Paid them, we don't have a local agreement.
but didn't we adjust the budget?
We can do anything with it. The
We
council
voted for
agrees.
something.
Yeah.
I think we-
We did.
Yeah, we allocated about, I don't remember if it was $2,000 or $4,000.
10,000, we approved 10,000
Okay.
for the Meals on Wheels and the 800.
So we just need to look at whatever, just a note for me and you that we need to look at whatever we did. We can probably half it for planning for next year.
For the budget.
Yeah.
But that is one of those items I think everybody needs to be aware of, that's federally sponsored and those funds are being cut. And so I think it's very unrealistic to think that every level of government just gets to push everything down to the municipality. So there will be tough decisions.
All right. Any further next budget meeting?
So then we'll be able to vote on the budget at the May meeting?
So we would call for a public hearing in May for June, right? Call for a public hearing in May for June, and then we would vote on it in June, and it would go into effect July 1st.
You don't necessarily need to call for it, I'll just advertise it.
Okay.
It'll be on the agenda.
All right.
But David, didn't you say you wouldn't be here
On the 5th,
in June? Is this your road trip? But the road's still there?
the roads are still there, that's right. Yes, no, I will not be here for the meeting in June.
Okay. Deb, you wanted to do item C, purchase a new
Yeah.
flag?
I've just noticed that our flag outside is getting rather tattered and torn and worn, and I think we need to replace it.
Don't we?
We do that at this time. I actually pulled a flag out on Thursday to
Oh,
fix
good.
it. So we
Good.
have money in the budget for it.
Okay, good.
We replace it about twice a year.
And do we do the proper ceremonies and all that stuff for taking the flags down and destroying them, right? I mean,
I have in the past, some of the ones we've taken down, I've taken to the Boy Scouts, and we've done that procedure in the past.
good. Thank you. That's
We
important.
don't just throw them away.
Thank you, Mike. All right, and then item D, Mike, you wanted to talk about the announcement for the NC 84 project?
I just wanted to clarify for council, for staff, and for the public, specifically, there's been a lot of confusion amongst all three bodies, specifically how much money was given, who it was given to, and who's responsible for the money, and it was confusing to a lot of people, so I wanted to have either yourself, Kathy, specifically bring us all up to speed so we're all on the same page, because I personally don't want to be in the road improvement business. We don't take TAL money from the taxpayers to improve roads, but at the same time, as the roads is one of the number one things that residents seem to want us to take care of.
Right.
So,
So Wesley Chapel, the village of Wesley Chapel government did not get the money, but the village of Wesley Chapel, the municipal limits, will be benefiting from the millions of dollars for that intersection. NCDOT did find STIP funding to help reduce some of the overruns. That will be, it was like 400 some thousand. And then the remaining amount will be split between the village of Wesley Chapel and Union County. So we'll be on the hook for like 446,000.
It's 440, 450, 460, somewhere. It's up from the 413 we committed.
So we will have to address that in the budget meeting also, if we want to appropriate the remaining funds in our budget.
We will have an ordinance on the next meeting that, I guess, firms up the numbers from the previous resolution with the amended resolution. And then we'll also have the necessary documentation to approve the money, whatever that requires.
I just wanted to clarify, we did not get $3.1 million from the state. We do not do road improvements as a municipality. We don't have control over how that $3.1 million gets spent. We did not bid the project that needs to be done. We do not get to make all the decisions on how the project gets done. So when the public looks at us and say, oh, well, you're responsible for the roads because you're the municipality, we are not.
And as I recall, it's 450 grand, whatever, but then there's payment due by phase of overruns, right? That we would also be on the hook for?
They've said there's not going to be any overrun. They do not visualize overruns at this point. I think is what they said. All right.
Thank you for taking the time to clarify that for staff and for council and for the public.
All right, so that leads us to code enforcement, and I know tonight we had a gentleman who spoke about those two properties. We had also put a note on adding into our process a 6-month follow-up to monitor adherence to the process. So, Ms. Queen.
We need to monitor every 6 months people that.
So after they fall off, because what we're seeing, right, is that they comply for a certain amount of time, and then so like after a 6-month date, we go back and reassess to see if they are still in compliance or if they need a reminder.
Do you want that for zoning ordinances and code enforcement, or just code enforcement?
Just code enforcement.
Let me ask a more general question. How many properties do we currently have as the code enforcement officers that you're dealing with right now?
2.
2?
Well, one I finalized, I mean, they cleaned up nicely and pretty much left us alone, and then the other property that the gentleman mentioned.
Okay. And it is I think what the council agreed upon is if you've got a problem and you resolve the problem, that you monitor to make sure the problem doesn't reassess or reoffend, or I don't know what kind of verbiage you want to put on that. Is that being done?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it hasn't been, because you just decided that yes, we did.
So we'll put in the 6-month monitoring
Okay.
into the process. So the 2 properties that were mentioned at the podium, those are not, one of those wasn't on the radar.
He mentioned it, I think, at a meeting or 2 before. The other one I've dealt with, they cleaned it up. The other one is in the process.
Okay.
Okay. And we are actively moving forward on both of those, or at least one of
Well,
those?
one of them's cleaned up, yeah, so just the other one, yeah.
Okay. Well, it sounds like from the gentleman that came to the podium specifically that to say they're cleaned up.
What I'll ask you to do is reach out to our code enforcement tomorrow, okay?
But part of his issue is not code enforcement, part of his issue is zoning. If they're running a business, that's not code enforcement, that's zoning, that's use of the property, so that's something different.
Okay.
You know, cleaning it up and mowing is of course code enforcement, but streets lined up, cars lined up on the streets and running a business,
That's
that's going to
different
be
issue.
use of the
So-
property, that's.
Yeah, Emily can say something. Yeah.
It's kind of helpful when, especially people working on cars, that kind of thing, we might miss it. Maybe like one day where they're all out there, and the next day when we get out there, they're all gone. So in cases like this, especially if you could email us pictures.
Yes, he's.
Oh, there you go, I'm sorry. Yeah, if you could email us pictures, drive by, take a snap on your phone, email it to us, that's super helpful. 'Cause that happens sometimes, we're like, oh, they're out there working on cars. And
Yeah, they did every
and we
night.
go out there and, I don't know, maybe they're all in one. It kind of, it's sort of one of those things where it's.
Emily, do you have your
it's
card?
super helpful.
Do you have your card?
Yeah, I'll get a card.
She's gonna get you a card, and if you could email her details.
Let me ask one general question. It is against our ordinances to run a business out of home in residential property.
No. There are home occupations that are allowed, but not something that's causing issues with the neighbor and traffic and that kind of thing. So the short answer is no, we do allow certain home occupations, but something that sounds like this, probably no.
Okay. And is there a homeowners association associated with this neighborhood? So really,
That's why you're out hope.
we're
Right.
the early avenue of
Yeah.
for resolution. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So-
I don't think the property owners themselves are going to care whether a letter comes from Kathy for,
We will get you the planner's card, and if you will work with her for the business occupation, please, sir.
Yeah, pictures are super helpful.
Okay. All right.
we don't want to leave you hanging. We want to help you.
And we'll add in the 6-month follow-up. All right. That brings us to the mayor's report. John, if you will join me. We are ready to move forward with a purchase of chamber audiovisual equipment, so we don't have to turn around and look at the back. So,
I'll try and
take it away.
I'll try and keep it brief. For the needs in here, we've received 6 quotes. They range from $17,670.49, which was woefully inadequate for our needs, to $46,765.57, which was overkill. The one I'm suggesting is a recent one from XL Media to meet the requirements that we specified. Their quote was $26,427.03. An assumption tied to that quote is that they use the existing mixer, the existing speakers in the ceiling. I tested those a year ago, and I know for sure 1 year ago it was all working, so I have not budgeted for replacement of that equipment. So given that, maybe a little unexpected thing, and if some of these components are coming from China, you might want to consider approving a budget for up to 30,000, just in case.
That's not 125%, John.
And we budgeted what, Kathy, 20?
5,000.
So
We budgeted
the quote
$5,000.
is
We
26,427.
budgeted 3,000, excuse me, and we added a little bit.
If they ran into an issue with the mixer or something, I just suggest you might add a little wiggle room in case a year later.
I was just going to ask, do you have any estimate on what a mixer and those things would be? Because I'm thinking.
A mix is cheap, it's a few $100s.
Yeah, because what I'm thinking is like if they get in here and they hook it up and they go, oh, this doesn't work, we don't want to wait around.
Those things are off the shelf from any audio supply place you can get a mixer. So what you're getting is microphone each there, 2 microphones over there, microphone here, new bright laser projector that can be accessed through Bluetooth, so we don't have to give visitors credentials to our Wi-Fi site. They can just call up the projector and run the presentation themselves, or Kathy can run it from the staff desk. A wall-mounted webcam, just a single camera, not fancy stuff that can give each headshot. It will allow you to webcast meetings, and it's going to capture here, staff desk, and they're all on one camera, with the ability to record audio and video to an SD drive, so that when the SD drive is full, you can put it in a file and keep the record, rather than paying for a cloud service where you upload everything to the cloud. That's what you're getting for your monies. Installation and training session on all of it for staff and council if you wish to attend to learn how to work those.
So just on the SD drive, so at one point, I'm sorry, I haven't checked recently, but we were posting the recordings of the meetings. Do we envision posting the meeting recordings to the website?
We can. There's certainly space there. There is that link, yeah.
So there has to be some way then to get it from the SD card to where we can get it to the website. Is there?
Joe?
So the idea is that this would be live streamed to either Facebook or YouTube. The primary option of most municipalities in the area is YouTube. That is also free to upload pretty much anything to, and it can be all stored there.
And that's
then
where
you can
it
actually
is.
download it as well off of there. What John would be doing is just a backup, just in case something were to happen online.
No, your comment that it can always stream to YouTube, that's what I was getting at, was mechanism to make that happen.
Yes,
Thank
you
you,
can
John.
live stream it, and we'll have a copy of the file that we can post anywhere.
John, does that include a wireless microphone for the podium there?
It's not wireless, I've asked for a wired one, because we don't want to complicate it.
Just a little thing you see.
Yeah, we talked about putting an XLR connector in there, so if we wanted to disconnect it, just leave it connected and have a wire long enough, people can move this around. So coil and wire there.
And while it sounds like a lot of money, we have not had microphones for,
Years.
we haven't had computers
Joel's
at work
been awesome
for
helping all of this.
ever. And it is embarrassing to host a meeting of other municipalities and not have microphones. Nice things.
So that's it. That's the info.
So you're recommending XL?
XL Media's latest quote, his last quote was 2 systems, a the basic, which I'm suggesting, at 26,427, and he had another quote that was way higher, but that was far more sophisticated than we need.
And Excel did Weddington, right?
Correct.
Excel did
So
well.
they've done a nice job,
Yes.
with another municipality neighbor.
And so you said the quote's 26 something, and you want a little bit extra for this or that and the other. What number would you like, John?
30.
And we have budgeted 5,
What would you think?
because we are
Where the
cheap.
money's coming from? Over to you.
So,
Here's our park staff.
we are cheap.
Now, before we vote on this, because I think it's reasonable, I want to thank John and Joel specifically.
Yes,
for working on
thank you, guys.
hard work they've done on this. This was above and beyond what the normal scope of work was to get us into the next century here when it comes to electronics. Thank
Yes.
you.
And it was helpful to have Kathy reach out those first 3 that just blew our minds with those $40,000 quotes, like, whew.
I knew it was gonna be expensive.
Yeah.
I think that's what I was worried about the first meeting.
So, Kathy, would we have to take this money from contingency? Is there money in contingency left?
We have a little bit, maybe $6,000 or $7,000 in contingency. We also have a pocket of money of $15,000 that we had set aside for the stormwater that we didn't use. But I also know that John needs tree money, which he hasn't brought up yet, so he's going to be asking for $6,000 tonight. And I think there was another item he was going to be asking for some money for. So John's looking for quite a bit of money. I don't have a budget amendment for you. I need time to look at these, so whatever he needs, I'm happy to look at it, send you an email, let me know where we can come from, but that's the available money that we have so far.
So we would make a motion to approve pending we find the money in the budget?
Well, I mean, I can find the money in the budget. If you just tell me you want to spend it, and I can't find it, then you just give me the authority to appropriate it from, the money we have that's not budgeted.
I
Okay.
think we've kicked the can down the road on this technology long enough. We need to.
The one thing I forgot to mention to you guys, I did confirm they can deliver, install, and train an invoice before the end of June. And warranty on the equipment is 1 year for most of it. So that'd be anything goes wrong with it free of charge. And then he sent me the rate, I can't remember, it's like $150 an hour after the first year warranty period if we need them to come out. And they're in 4 mil, so they're pretty good.
Okay. So then, council, I would like to ask for a motion to approve or not approve this purchase pending Kathy's research into where we're going to pull the additional $25,000 from.
I think we've kicked the can down the road on this long enough, and we've gotten more than enough help from both John and Joel, so I think we need to move forward on this. And I'll make the motion and go ahead and spend the money.
Pending
We
we
spent
find.
$30,000.
Spend up
Was
to
that said that?
$30,000 on the, this is not going to be an ongoing expense, this is a one-time.
I just want to make sure that 30,000 was mentioned. I'll second it.
Okay, any further discussion? You look deep in thought.
Yeah, I would like to know where the monies are coming from. I mean, not that it should stop this process, but I'd like to know where they're coming from.
Councilmember Boyce, I'll bring a budget amendment to the next meeting, and you'll be.
I would like to know prior to that meeting, if possible. Yeah.
Would you be comfortable if we just would, can we go ahead and appropriate it?
Sure, that's what I was saying. I don't want to stop the process, but I would like to know where the money's coming from.
Can we do that, Kathy? Can we say we go ahead and appropriate it from unused fund, unassigned fund balance?
Sure.
So then let's rescind the second,
It's done.
rescind your motion. Now remake your motion to take it out of unassigned fund balance. 25,000.
30. Oh,
Nope,
25,
we got
sorry.
5.
So the motion is to approve up to
30.
30, with 25 coming out of fund balance and 5 coming out of an undetermined.
No, out of the pre-budgeted line item.
5,000 already been budgeted.
5,000 that's already added to the 5,000 that's already been budgeted for the project. And we may have to step on John's trees here a little bit later. Right?
All right, so I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms.
David, I think you
Bledsoe?
made a good point about the specifically wanting to know before proceeding.
Ms. Bledsoe,
I'm sorry.
do you have any comments?
No.
Okay.
We need it. We've been talking about it for a long time. It's time we got off the pot and
The good thing is none of us are soft-spoken.
Speak for yourself. All in favor? All right, so unanimous. Thank you guys. Thank you all for working hard on that.
Just
It'll be
remember
nice.
that later in the meeting when we don't have money for the tree or whatever.
So that will probably result in some more staff hours as we figure out how to figure the thing out and get it live streaming and all that stuff. I'll try to make sure my hair is fixed for the next meeting.
You can set it up like Wellington does, where you can often set it up where it'll automatically come on. Like it may, obviously the camera's gonna be like on, and then it'll just set to live, start the live stream at set time. And so they may start it at obviously 7, or maybe a couple minutes before that, just to make sure that it gets up and running.
The only concern I see is making sure when we say we're having a closed meeting, it gets cut off.
That can be a concern, of course, but usually there's like a stop button for that easily
Yeah.
connects to you.
I mean, just because we usually stay in here. That's all.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just
May have to
back
flip
to
the switch.
Yeah.
Back to the-
Unplug.
Kill switch.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Western Union. Thank you, everyone. That leads us to the Western Union Municipal Alliance update. I'm sorry, I'm very congested. In the hopes of inspiring more people to attend, we moved the meeting until later in the day, but sadly that did not inspire more people to attend. We had a very nice presentation from Brian Matthews. Basically, the county does not know where they're going to set their tax rate at yet. They do have, some large expenses coming up. They did mention asking all the municipalities to help pay for Meals on Wheels. Joel was in attendance. Thank you, Joel. There will be a meeting in May where state elected officials will be attending. It's also at 7 p.m. in Waxhaw on our fourth Thursday. I will get that posted and out on the website, or we can share the WUMA. That would be a good chance for anybody to go and ask questions of your state elected officials for things coming from the state, as the state is trying to take away most, if not all, municipal power. So,
And failing to fully fund public schools.
yeah. So I would encourage you all to come to that meeting in May if you can. I think WUMA was a little disheartened that so few people turned out for the county manager. But maybe maybe people are disheartened at a lower level of government as we see the state is trying to take away so much municipal influence.
Did you get any commitment from Senator Tom Johnson to show up at any of those meetings?
Yes, he will be there in May,
In May. Okay.
at the May meeting.
That's a great meeting to attend if you could specifically come, because getting a senator to show up to that meeting is huge.
Yeah. Health assessment survey, if you have not, please take a few moments to go to the Union County Government website and take the health assessment. It will guide a lot of decisions for the Department of Health and Human Services. We have shared it on the Wesley Chapel website and the Facebook page and the Sunshine List. So if you will take a moment to do that. Volunteer dinner report. We had a very nice volunteer appreciation dinner. It was nice to kind of just sit down and get to talk to people, not in an official capacity. And thank you to everybody who attended. It was very nice. I like doing that annually. Mr. How did you say your name was pronounced again? Has asked, we need to replace the mulch at Village Hall, and Mr. Lepke has kindly offered to do it. We would like to get it done before the May event where people are going to be on site. John has gotten a quote for 6,000? No,
600.
600. Look at
10
me.
yards, 10 yards delivered is shy of 600. With a wheelbarrow, shovel and a rake, I can do the 10 yards in 2 days, I've done it before. So I'm suggesting we not pay somebody to do it, if I can do it. So basically, I don't know where you get the money from, but if you want to do the mulch, which hasn't been done in many, many years, around the town hall, so it looks nice for the event, you need to find $600 for the mulch.
John, I do something I very rarely do. Question your math. How'd you come up with 10 yards? Because I remember the last time we did it, it was more than that.
I guess.
I would,
I'm like, it looks
If I'm
about
trusted
the same
anybody's
amount.
guess.
My yard, I use 10 yards, I think I can do the 10.
I think.
And I'll start around the town hall, and then I'll spread to the outside of the parking lot if I've got any left, and if I don't, I'll just do the center island and around the town hall.
I just remember last time we did it, we started with a certain amount. I don't remember exactly what that amount was, but then we were short and we ended up adding to that. And $600 I think is going to be short.
I agree. 10 yards doesn't go very far.
No, it doesn't. So,
But do the front, nothing
Yeah.
else.
Round the building, the island, and then if I've got left, I'll move out, and if not, I won't. So, I'll just
Just
try
so
to
you
keep
have enough to
moving.
go around.
you've got the trees out there, you've got,
Do we have $600 in the town hall maintenance fund, the village hall maintenance fund that we could use? Okay. All right, so we would have a motion for Mr. Lepke to get his $600 worth of mulch for village hall.
Make a
so
motion.
motion.
Is there, that was Como's, seconded by Bailey. Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous?
John, if you need a hand with that, just let me know.
Okay, I will. I will need a hand, not a
The barrel and the shovel, I will provide.
Would you like me to follow you behind, follow the tractor on the way here from?
Are you going to bring track? Make that happen too.
If that and make it go really easy, but I'm not driving the tractor.
Okay. It is now time to renew the urban forester contract. Our amount will be $4,502.53. They will not invoice us until we adopt our budget. We just need to agree on this so we can put it in the budget.
I think the best thing to do is explain specifically what the urban forester has done and continues to do for us.
Sure.
And has the money been well spent?
I can offer something.
Go ahead, Mr. Lepke, right?
I've used him, he's been out to the park, I would say 4 or 5 times in the 10 years the park's existed. Very useful advice when he gives it. Perhaps 10 emails when I've had a tree that looks, I don't know what's going on with the tree, sending photographs, he's very responsive to that. But may have used that service 10 times by email consultation. So we don't use it a hell of a lot.
No, I'm more interested in
This
Emily.
guy can pretty much do the same for free.
Could you tell us more, explain more what he does for us with the new
Yeah.
subdivision, for example?
Yeah.
As I say, when we have any subdivisions or site plans that come through, I send him the landscape plans, he reviews them, determines, gives lots of comments. And he also then follows up with the sites. I mean, I know he's sent out a lot, goes around, it actually is in here where he talks about doing tree checks, and he does do that a lot, and he is very, like you said, he sends out like 10 emails about a tree to the developers and to the contractors that they need to be fixed, they're dying. It's like, I know that you planted it, but it didn't survive for whatever reason, so yes, I find it helpful.
Yeah, and I know there have been a few problematic neighborhoods where he has really had to get involved in their replanting of things that have died or needed to be remediated. So to me, $4,502 is a steal for.
With the expertise that he can give.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that he's done that I can remember is that when he's looking at a new subdivision and they decide to put the trees around their entryway, and then all of a sudden there's power lines, and say, oh yeah, those trees won't have those power lines for 10 years. he's very on the spot as far as what to put and what not to put specifically
Yeah.
in those areas so that we don't have a problem a decade later with trees that either have to get hacked down or hacked up.
And the ease of the right of way.
Right, I was gonna say, the right of ways, if they're putting them too close to sidewalks, he knows.
And I gotta say, I don't think we're smart enough to know all the things he does.
Right.
I don't have a PhD in forestry.
Yeah, he is a PhD, he is a doctor.
He's a smart guy.
And
He's
not
a
only
smart guy.
on the small level, on our level, but he's award-winning for doing groundbreaking research, and he's started right in Union County. He has helped to form an organization called Trees Union, in which he is working feverishly to increase the tree canopy in Union County and to help protect what is existing and grow it as well. So he's a good one.
I make a motion that we approve $4,502.53.
And enter an interlocal agreement for
And approve
2025.
the interlocal agreement for the Union County Urban Forester for the next fiscal year.
A second.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, who sets that amount? Is that just an amount that's given to us?
Yeah.
Yes, by the
Based on
county.
population.
I think it's divided up among municipalities.
Lori said it's by population.
That's what's in the deck.
So we are not quite the lowest. Wingate has 2,000 and Mineral Springs has 1,620. But we're a little more than Marvin.
Okay.
All right, any further questions?
The one thing, I don't think that, to David's point, I don't think that contract was in our packet.
Right here.
I didn't see it, so.
Page 27, 28, and 29.
My I stand corrected.
All right, all in favor? Unanimous. And then that leads us to Dogwood Park. If Mr. Lepke would appreciate. I have a new thing.
So I have quite a list, but I'll keep everyone brief.
Just ask for money.
So, we've had a request from a mobile dog grooming service if they would be allowed to bring their service out to the park. Doesn't cost us anything. They don't need anything. It's self-contained. They just want to know, since we have a dog park at the park, could they bring a dog grooming service out on occasion to the park and offer dog grooming services at the park.
That might be a pull.
I talked to Amy, we said that's one for council, so yes or no is the question. on that.
Slippery slope.
Yeah.
Don's
that's
already
my first-
said, Don's okay with it, he said there's no ordinance, it depends on the committee, so.
Well, it'd be the same as, I know we have people that go out there and do, they work out at the gym on a regular basis.
This is a bit different, that's a commercial business rather than a group of
No, but
people getting together and exercising.
the next thing is we'll have a guy trying to sell exercise equipment, or jogging shoes, or I don't know, it's a slippery
Why
slope.
give it to you guys?
I
Yeah.
personally think it's a good idea. I mean, I think, if you knew that there's a dog groomer that's going to be at the park once a month, that might be something for them to.
But keep in mind, they have a mobile van to do this, they could just come to your house.
Yeah, but still, what if I don't want you to come to my house?
If they sit in the parking lot, you just take your dog out.
Yeah.
I think it's a slippery slope because then you have one business that you're endorsing and allowing to run a business in the park, and then where do you draw the line? And liability and
May result in a
congestion
waterfall of
and
requests.
who knows what. I think it's better just to say no.
I agree.
I'm on the same track there, because I think if we open it up for this dog grooming place, another dog grooming, they might say, well, how come you didn't let me do it?
Right. Don't,
Like,
consensus is no. Amy, we can respond.
I guess not.
Another very quick one. Last year, as you know, we piloted the community garden thing with 2 beds. We have no issues with the 2 beds. We currently have offers for the funding to make 2 additional beds for no cost to the village, so we can offer it to more people. And then we previously asked for we had an offer from a Boy Scout group to complete all 8 beds in the community garden. So I'm looking for council to say, yeah, go ahead, accept the money for the 2 new beds, expand it from 2 to 4, and then when we get an Eagle Scout looking for a project to offer him the 4 additional beds to complete it out to the 8. Can I have council's approval to move forward in that regard? No cost to the village.
I think it's a great idea. The ones we have are
We used last year, no problems.
Yeah, especially getting us, having the next Eagle Scout project lined up, so.
The beds would be in the same area as the 2. They would be in the same area?
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
we have a fenced in area.
Okay.
Currently have 2 beds in it. The space for 8 beds total is just filling out the existing area, no cost to the village.
Are they going to be basically all the same style and?
All exactly the same,
Okay.
the same.
I think it's a great idea.
Is there a motion? Do we need a motion? Or just consensus?
We're not spending any money.
Okay.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up.
Okay, good, easy one. Now, one that won't be so easy. Last council meeting, I talked to you guys about perhaps moving forward. We got this 250 that we're going to use or lose. So we know we can't redo the dam with it. And very unlikely we're going to hear back from FEMA in time and we'll end up losing this money. The idea was to consider using that money to demuck the pond, dredge the pond. We got an informal quote for doing that. That's right around our budget. But I erroneously assumed that writing the spec for that work would be a trivial matter. It apparently isn't. So Amy B has sent us a proposal, Amy Black from our dam engineer, has sent a proposal for obtaining the permits and writing the scope of work. Up to $20,000, but it'll be billed on a use basis, but she says no more than 20. We've currently got no money left in the budget with Amy Black for the dam repairs, so I'm suggesting council consider accepting Amy's proposal of up to 20 grand to move forward with the scope of work specification permitting or dredging pond. To come from, I think we had $100,000 budgeted for pond repairs this year.
We would use the $250,000 grant.
Oh, we used some of the grant money for that, and we'd use some of the.
But if we had money in there for pond maintenance, why wouldn't we use that and keep the 250 for the dredging? Do we know the dredging is going to be 250 yet?
I don't think we have enough in the pond maintenance thing to cover the 20. So I'd need that to come from whatever you guys budgeted for pond repairs or from the grant.
Yeah.
And how much did we guess dredging cost?
We got a quote of $255, but I think he had permitted in there. So I think
He can dredge up to
No,
200,000.
I think we can twist him and say that's a bit rich. We didn't bid it.
Yeah, that's true, we gotta bid it.
Formal bid that he knew was going to be public. So we really need to go out with a bid process
We do need to bid.
to the specification that Amy writes, and then we'll get the numbers in. And if we're over the 250, we'll address it at a time. My guess is it'll be less than 250. So
Right. Or if we hear back miraculously from FEMA, we'll go another way.
something like that.
So,
So I'm asking for council
20,000.
to make a motion to approve acceptance of Amy Black's proposal up to 20 grand to write the scope of work and do the permits for dredging pond.
And the funds would come from the 250.
And the funds to come from the 250 grand, if that's allowable. I don't know, I'll leave that to council.
It's allowable. I would take it from the 250, and then when we get our proposals, for sure, we'll decide what to use.
We use it or lose it at this point, right?
Yep. So is that a motion, Mr.
That would be a
Mullins?
motion, yes.
A motion.
How is it looking?
Second.
Any further discussion? Loving it. It's all approved? Beautiful.
What's the timeline on that, Joe?
ASAP.
October, we gotta give it back, like, usually
Yeah,
by.
no.
It's like the first week of October, so we need to get the bids out.
Right. You gotta get the spec written, get the bid out, select a contractor, get the work done before the end of September.
So with this approval, are we approving all of this entire process?
No.
No, this is
Just
the
20,000.
scope of work.
Oh,
And then it'll go out to
And
bid.
then go to bed.
When we get the bids in, we'll come to the.
So do we need to make a motion to go out to bid, once you get the scope in hand?
You kind of agreed to that last month, where you said, yeah, go and move forward, but I put the brakes on it when I saw it was gonna cost me 20 grand just to scope of work. I said,
A
I'm not
consensus
moving
with
forward.
council to move forward with the bidding process is sufficient.
That's why the question was more surrounding around, are we putting any stumbling blocks in our own way? Just gonna, if this is a time-sensitive project, that we can approve tonight versus having to revisit this in a month or.
It's probably a good idea to approve the 20 grand only in terms of spending for the scope of work and to go out to bid for that scope of work.
So I would entertain another motion to go out to bid.
Well, this will be
Good
a
motion.
formal bid, so when we get to bid, we'll have to, we'll work through the process.
Okay.
Trying to streamline it.
All right.
Next, we done with that one? Good.
My purse is empty.
My tree budget for this year, tree work budget was $6,000. That's 2 full days for the whole crew. I had some big trees leaning over trail, a lot of other dead trees, a lot of other leaning trees after Debbie and Helene, other winds we had. I tagged 74 dead or leaning trees. One was very large and leaning right over the trail like this, so I thought that's an urgent matter. I tagged 74 trees. I got the tree guy out. We identified those trees that presented the most fall hazard to visitors to the park, and we prioritized those. But I blew the $6 grand tree budget and still got an awful lot of dead and leaning trees in the park. They're in areas where I'm not afraid of them falling across Lester Davis Road or on the trail. However, we have a lot of kids running around in the woods, and these are all in the woods, leaning like this, leaning like that, dead trees. They are going to come down at some point. I probably need 3 more days of work to finish everything that's dead and leaning right now.
So that's $9,000.
That'd be $9,000 for 3 more days of work this year. Worst case, we just leave it and live with the risk until July. And then I'll budget for it in July, or we say we don't want to have the risk, let's go ahead and take care of them all now, and I'll take care of it.
So everything that was, all trees at risk of falling on the trail, parking lot, anywhere where people congregate, we're taken care of?
Correct. I prioritized those, walked the site with showed him all the trees. All the trees I've got photographs of them if you want, or come to the park. An awful lot of dead trees. So any very large that one was leaning right over Lester Davis and would have gone across Lester Davis if it fell. Several leaning over the trail, they're taken care of. Remote from the trail where if they fall, just the end's going to go across the trail, or the right in the woods, we didn't address, and that's what I'm asking the $9 grand for, is to go after the others.
Will these be laid down or mulched or a combination?
He doesn't mulch them, he drops them down and he cuts them into pieces I can manhandle. So I have a spec. If the tree is this diameter, he cuts it to a 12-inch length. If the tree is like this, he does it in 3-foot lengths. And then I've been building berms and silk fences with them and other things.
We need you to learn how to carve.
So they're not mulched, the trees drop to make it safe, and it's cut into pieces that I can handle loading into the tractor and moving around.
Do you have any that you would just leave where they fall?
Yeah.
Just to,
Yeah. Especially the pines, you know, if the pine's this big around, they're not much use for a retaining wall, I need hardwoods for that. So we just drop them down, cut them up in pieces and leave them. So it's basically, do you want to live with the risk from now until next year, or do you want to give me $9,000 additional tree budget?
And Kathy, we could take that from the 15,000 in stormwater. So there is 15,000 in stormwater that we budgeted and we have not touched, and we probably will not.
Well, my issue is this, we're spending money like it was water here, and at the same time, you've already addressed the ones you've identified as the most high risk.
Correct.
I don't know, what's council think?
so what, I kind of on the same page, but what I was thinking was, if we wait till June and the money's still there, you can still do work for this fiscal year to spend that money.
Yeah, we're only talking a
I
couple
can do the
months.
work whenever you approve the
Yeah.
budget. I got no money left in the tree budget.
Well, we know that.
So
I'm just saying, I'm kind of like,
So we
Low risk.
know we have at least 2 groups of kids running around the woods every week amongst trees that are leaning like this, trees that are being held up by a thin branch of another tree.
teach the kids to run up on the tree and let it fall.
Yeah, I can tell the kids don't go in the woods.
And then they'll be all over.
So
Well,
it's
I
just
mean,
a
that-
question of the amount of risk tolerance you got.
Yeah, and that's a risk, but there's also, I mean, we're moving into the thunderstorm season,
Yeah.
in which there'll be nobody in the park, and trees sometimes fall down
They may
in thunderstorms. They take care of themselves.
Yeah.
So,
I'm more concerned about the high number.
oh, it's lots. Pine trees, not much you can do.
I will say that before Keith O'Haron, the urban forester before him, we walked the park and he was like, y'all have got so many trees that need to come down, and we were too cheap to take them down at the time.
Okay.
So this does not surprise me because he was talking about like a lot of work that needed to be done. And that was a long time ago.
We were told. And if there's a pine tree this big, dead, close to the trail, it's come down already. If there's a tree this big, leaning over a trail, it's down. Most of the stuff we got now, there are 2 real, I mean, it's a shame. I think they're American beech. They are this big around, 2 of them. They are 120 feet high. They previously had like 3 main branches, and in the past 1 came down, and now the tree is rotted out in the middle. And they are standing there, and these are huge, I mean, this big around.
Well, all the structure in the tree is outside park. Inside
This
it's
is
not-
all hollowed out, and you
That's
can
not
knock on
uncommon.
it, and
That's
it's...
not uncommon, no dead tree.
Tree guy says they're coming down sometime, we get stronger in those. So
Or something.
fortunately, those are not right next to a trail, but those should come down, and those are in addition to the 74 I tagged.
And
Most of the 74 I tagged range from this big around to this big around pines that have pine borers, and they range from 40 to 60 feet tall with no life in them whatsoever. And then there's a lot leaning like this on a branch of another tree.
But it also makes good habitat for birds and nesting animals in the decades. And the reason I say is I had a big hickory back behind our property, and it was like, it just fell in chunks. Be a storm, a little chunk of fall, a little chunk of fall. And to your point, it's like in an area with no access.
I think you've taken care of all the really dangerous ones. I think what's left is just sort of, you know, they'll be there, you will take care of them, but I think they can wait till June or July. I mean,
So-
I think we need to do it right now.
Do you want to put this on the budget, on the park update for June?
If council chooses not to approve it now, I will double my tree budget for next year from $6,000 to $12,000, so I can take care of it. So
Well,
you're gonna pay for it in the end anyway, it's just a matter of when.
I was willing to give you the money in June if we still had it, so.
Yeah. I would rather give you the money in June myself.
We got it left. Okay. Right, good. That's that one done. For the event we got coming up, we talked, you'll hear more from Mary and Joe later about the event. The guy was going to rent us a generator. I said, no, we got power, we got extension cords, we're doing power from here across the thing. Yeah, trip hazard would be better with a generator. There are many occasions we've had need for a generator, national night out, some events in the park. So rather than run the cables across the parking lot, create a trip hazard, I'm suggesting we buy, it's below the normal level for council to approve, so I'm doing it for information. A 5 kilowatt generator, which is what the guy said we need, multi-fuel, propane, gas or gasoline. It's $900 from Lowe's. So I'm hoping I can squeeze it into one of their event budgets, and if not, take it out of my own budget, but suggesting we buy a generator. Unless anybody objects.
What manufacturer are you going with?
Generac is the one they have at Lowe's.
Not a fan of Generac, but that's a generator.
I could get another brand if you know there's a better brand for the same price.
I'm a big believer in Champions, but you know,
My own is a Champion. I bring my own to the park to run a little heater so I'm not freezing to death when it's cold. But mine doesn't have 5 kilowatt. I've only got 1.5 kilowatt. I need a 5 kilowatt. So, unless anybody has an objection, I'm going to try and sneak it in their budget, event budget, and if they can't stretch their budget to it, I'll work with Kathy to find money to find $900 to buy one. If nobody's got a big objection. Good. Don't know if you want to cover it or not, but the last item was the dog incident where the dog was shot. You're familiar with
Oh, that's not the last item, but we can talk about that one too.
So not the dog water, the dog shooting. We received an email that a lady's dog was shot. The dog is frequently in the park running around on its own. She kind of sort of implied it was park responsibility because she talked about people being in the park after dark and teenagers staying and driving down and opening the gate for other people to come in and party. On another site next door, she posted it was shot in a front garden. I subsequently found out another dog was shot in that neighbourhood by a guy with a telephone previously, and not this dog, another dog 2 years ago. So the police know about it. I don't think it's really anything to do with the park, other than we have an issue with people using the park long after dark and parking.
You know, if there was money in your budget, what we could do is hire an off-duty officer to sit out there on certain nights and just scare them off.
See, everybody, the frequent offenders of staying in the park late all know they don't get locked in the park. They drive up to the gate, and there's a sign that says, drive up, the gate's going open. So they got no sense of urgency to leave the park. A few nights when I've been there late, I've been going down to the controller, I've been deactivating the gate traffic system, and I sit and wait, and I see him at the gate backing up. And then I go down, and the gate doesn't work sometimes, you shouldn't be in after dark. And then I open the gate for him and let him out. So I try to catch a few frequent offenders doing that. We have the capability to disarm the traffic on there and lock people in. And one lady did get locked in when the gate wasn't working. 3 hours for the sheriff to show up to her.
Well, they called me.
Whether we want to deal with it in some way, I don't know. I put up 5 additional signs. Park closes at dusk. Very prominent places. But they all know I'm not going to get locked in. I can just drive up to the gate, so I'm going to stay as late as I can.
Maybe you need to have an out-of-order sign.
The issue the lady brought up, though, is a bit different. The lady with the dog shooting. In that she alleges, and I've since confirmed from other neighbours who've gone, somebody waits and hangs out till everybody leaves, and then they text all their buddies, and they drive down to the gate, they open the gate, all the buddies flow in the park, they let the gate close and they're in the park, partying when they shouldn't.
So this is a more than a one-time occurrence. I mean, this all the time.
And for some reason, it always happens around the time change.
Okay.
Daylight savings time.
Do we not have, we've got cameras in the park, will they not pick up the cars?
Should pick up. Brandon or law enforcement should be able to go into the system and say, show me all the cars in the park after 8:30 p.m.
Okay.
And he should be able to pull down a list, photographs and plate numbers.
You want us to send letters?
Go that far.
But the neighbors that I've talked
What
to,
do we do?
the ones that are directly behind the person that told me about this, I told them, I said, well, there's no problem with you calling the sheriff's office and saying, hey, there's people in the park, they're not supposed to be out here after dark, and the sheriff's office usually sends somebody up to shoo them out of the park.
Yeah.
But only somebody calls. The other issue I think we have is that it's all nicely lit, and I think that encourages people to be in there after dark because it's all lit up. I talked to Brandon about turning the lights off. He said, you probably get more crime if you turn the lights off. Talked to Duke. We can't turn the lights off basically. They're on a solar thing and they come on when it goes dark and they go off when it goes dark. And they will not install a switch. Because I thought, right, well, if you just turn the lights off at night, they won't be encouraged to go in there. It's an issue. Don't know how we're going to deal with it, if we want to deal with it.
I feel like we need to deal with it because if not, then we're going to have liability on our hands. If someone's out there at night and God forbid there's a serious accident, then you know that they're going to come back to the park and say, or come back to the village and say, well, what, if you knew this was happening, why did you continue to allow it to happen?
Well,
And there's beer cans, Truly cans, beer balls I pick up sometimes when I go there on a Monday.
I don't think a letter's gonna do squat,
no.
but we could try it.
Can we take advantage of Mr. Kennedy being here, being with the
I was
sheriff?
going to say, Mike, do you have any suggestions?
Does the sheriff's department do wellness checks or on businesses and things like that?
That answer is going to be no on a regular basis. What I would do is if you would like, when you renew your contract, you could put that in the contract with the sheriff's office.
Put one in there.
To check on your park.
Can we put parameters around it, like nightly?
Oh, I'm sorry, what?
Can we put parameters like nightly?
I think if you get a,
Friday, Saturday night.
Some towns and villages in this county have agreements with the sheriff's office that the sheriff's office will do certain things for that town, i.e. a park, open or close the gates on weekends or check things on weekends or days. But there is an agreement that has already been made between the village or town or that municipality with the sheriff's office with their contract with the sheriff's office.
does that mean only that deputy would be in charge of that, or would any deputy working on a Friday night, for example, do it?
Usually, the deputy that is contracted with the town or village, right? Because you have other villages here that have their own parks and gates, and there are deputies that go and assist that town or village.
See, I don't think we need somebody there on a nightly basis or nightly checks, but spot checks on a regular basis to just remind the kids, hey, you're not supposed to be in here.
The easiest plan would not be to hire off-duty or to do that. If you would be willing to install something called a flock camera system.
We have
We
one.
have
You have that? Is
Yes.
it working?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it triggering and
Yes.
sending it to you?
Yes, not to me. only
Goes
to
to
you.
Brandon.
Goes to Brandon.
There is a way you can monitor it.
No,
There is a
not
way you can monitor it.
not the way we approved it.
What?
Not the way we approved it.
Brandon can monitor it.
Well, there is, I know with Flock, if you have the system up and you have something programmed that it will trigger, it will come up on the screen.
Who does it send the notice to, the town?
What?
Who does it send the notice to?
Sends it to whatever deputy that has programmed in there for that alert, or just accepts all general alerts. Like, I'll give you an example, a general alert would be a silver alert, a missing elderly person. That would be sent out to any monitor that's on.
We could set the flock system, any motion in the park, 9 PM. Sensible alert.
And whatever triggers it, the car, then you would have someone call 911 and ask to go out and check on that. It would be no different than a alarm call or a wellness check that you would call into 911. That's all it would be.
So could we ask John to check what alerts, if any, we already have set up, and to review the entire list and update that as necessary for the deputy? The sheriff's
I'll give you an
office.
example. If I'm looking for a vehicle and it's ABC 123 and I plug it into the flock system, it will hit and tell me when it's crossing, what it's doing. And that's how we find some cars, and they will hit every day on Ray Road, for example, at this time, and someone shows up and says hello.
I understand, Big
So
Brother.
we don't set the alerts up, everything goes to Union County Sheriff's Office.
I'm just
for-
asking for you to find out what they are and review that list and see what we need to add to it.
But if you're having it triggered at 9 PM, right, then you can call 911 and have them sent there. Or if they decide to go and have a standard check there, that would be it. But we don't, the sheriff's office doesn't standardize check anything in that regard. Because of, like schools, we don't have to check the school every night, or a certain business every night. There are certain things that they do check, but that's based on the contract what the sheriff's office has with that municipality of a service that they would provide.
So my understanding was that the alerts are set up by the sheriff's office for stolen vehicle plate numbers, stolen vehicle descriptions.
You can put in a plate number if you're looking for it. In my case, it's forged tags, and they will hit, right? If you need to look for somebody who's missing or wanted, you can enter it into the system, and it will only hit locally on our camera system, not nationally or statewide.
We do not have that capability.
Right.
That was all delegated to the sheriff's office.
Right. But I'll email Brandon and a copy you, and we'll see if we can figure something out.
Okay.
Okay?
So that may be an interim step.
Yep, TBD.
Let's get the cameras to trigger any vehicle, any movement in the park after 9 PM.
But you're also,
They get the ping on the cell phone, somebody's in the park.
but you're also okay with neighbors calling and saying, hey, there's
Yeah.
a party at 11 o'clock at Saturday night in the park, and we know the park's closed.
They should be calling 911 too.
Yeah.
Well, and there's, I mean, we've got the flock cameras, and if we can use those to identify the cars that way, that's well and good. If not, there's other ways that we can identify when there's people out there. I've got trail cams that are looking for deer and turkey right now, but they can look for
I just
for
got
people.
2 trail cams to identify the little angels who vandalize stuff. So I've got
Yeah,
2.
yeah. So I mean, there's means and methods for sure.
Remember, we have a policy on video recording.
Oh, that's it.
We have a policy for what?
On video recordings.
Well, who can see him? I think it's
You can
staff.
see them and everything, but I'm just saying, be careful, because we really didn't hear what you said.
Oh, don't go anywhere. The last item is, and we've discussed it multiple times, is the dog water at the park. John fills it up twice a week, and sometimes people leave the spigot open, and it leaks, and then people call very upset that their dog doesn't have water at the dog park, despite there being a pump and a bowl closer to the parking lot. We have investigated, Kathy and I investigated installing a sewer line for that water fountain. It was very expensive. I am tired of people whining about dog water when they could bring their own water. I bring my own water. I would not let my dog drink the nasty water that is up there. and all the bacteria growing in it. But I don't vote. But I'm tired of the complaints. So I told the offender that I would be putting it on the agenda to discuss removing it. And he said, well, I'll tell my neighbors. I said, please do. And tell them that there is a hydrant, pump, whatever, and a bowl close to the parking lot where they can go like this and get their dog some fresh water that's not growing bacteria and mildew.
And to address the spigot being left open, I saved for a long time. We buy cat litter and polyethylene jugs like this. I rinsed them all out and I saved a whole bunch of them. And I was also leaving lots of jugs of water, so if somebody leaves the spigot open and drains the tank, they got all this backup stuff. Somebody threw them all out.
Oh my
They all
God.
disappeared. So I'm slowly trying to replace those, but you know, I don't get through that much cat litter that
I
I can
have,
do.
for years, I have said, I think it's stupid to be giving water that way out there because of the germs, and I'm with Amanda, no way on earth I'd ever allow any animal I cared about to use that water. Especially in the summer when it's hot and everything else. I think you made a good effort to do it, but I think it's time, it's done. That's my opinion.
I agree. So what do we do?
Make a motion to remove the dog water bowl.
I make a motion, we remove the dog water bowl.
The
Second.
dog water station by the dog
At
park.
the dog.
Okay, yep, so noted.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Well, that was originally an Eagle Scout project that was done years ago, and originally it was set up to use those big
Jugs.
Gatorade jugs, and originally it was set up so that you wanted water, you pushed the button, the water came out, and then you let the button go and stop the flow. The problem was that those plastic buttons had to be replaced probably about once a year. They were about $6. Then we switched to a brass one where you had to turn the knob, and then people were turning it and leaving it on. The jugs themselves got cleaned out with bleach on a regular basis, so they weren't really growing mold and mildew. And they were being replaced, or they were being refilled by me about once a week. There's 2 5-gallon jugs, and a hot summer day at the park, giving your dog a bowl of water.
I've been tracking how much is used. They use about 30 gallons a week. It's typical. So I'm up there 20 gallons 2 times a week to make sure that they can. Added the additional polyethylene jugs in case somebody leaves the thing open. You can clean them out, but tap water isn't sterile when you get it. It has CFU, colony forming unit count of like 10 to 100. As soon as the free chlorine is released, that the municipality adds. So a municipality will add 0.1 to 0.3 ppm of free chlorine to keep the water healthy till it comes out of the tap. As soon as that's released and the chlorine goes, there is no control of bacterial growth. Bacteria double the population in 20 minutes. So if you're not cleaning that out every 24 hours, you've got tens of millions of bacteria count in that water after sitting there a few days.
Which is also why they tell you not to even leave a cup of water out for yourself.
Yeah, and they tell you not to pour tap water into a bottle and store it.
My thoughts are be responsible. Be responsible. Yeah, I'm responsible for myself when I go out there. I take my own water, and when I take my dogs, I take water and bowl for them.
And
Be
if your dog
responsible.
gets hot,
Yep. Then
walk him to the hydrant.
yep.
The contraption that the Boy Scout built is falling apart anyway, so.
The roof's rotted on it. That was going to be another project for the next Boy Scout group, was rebuild those things as well. But if we're going to remove them, we don't need to do it.
You want to do it?
But
Put some signs up saying water is now available
Yep.
at the water hydrant in the
Yep.
parking lot.
Yep.
I'll get some signs made and post them in the dog park.
Yep. Any other comments?
No, I agree to completely.
All in favor? Unanimous? Oh, surprised.
Right.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lipake. I'm entertaining myself. That brings us to the Events and Programs Committee finally. Sorry, guys.
Okay, we're good. All right, good evening, Mayor, Council, and Village staff and fellow citizens. Greetings from Washington, as that's where I was last month, as Mr. Corey was able to do the committee report last month. We had a successful, thorough meeting, as we have been continuing to have, which is excellent, and I'm very pleased with that, as we did last month. And I have quite a good report to give to you, but I'll try to be as brief as I can. First is the social media policy and everything with social media. As requested by Ms. Bailey, and this is just the latest update on this, the School of Government is having that class on May 7th, as I've said, for 75 minutes. I stated last time I was here in February that I did email them and asked them a couple of different questions. I was able to find out that the class is recorded when it happens, and that it will be available for on-demand viewing for roughly a year. That's what they told me. They did state that they do the class about every year, and that at that time they then expires, and then they obviously it'll probably be free next time. So if we did need it, then we can do that again, of course. I know Amy also sent me a slideshow presentation that she had received previously from one as well. The person I did email did tell me that there wasn't going to be any additional documents or anything like that, so, which I was a bit surprised by that since Amy sent me the slideshow. But regarding the social media mission statement, as Mr. Wayne Todd had presented to us, well, he hasn't presented it to us, but he emailed it to us after our committee meeting this past month. We're going to be looking at that this next committee meeting, and we'll hopefully be able to give a report to you guys about that next month. Regarding the events, there's quite a few updates specifically on this. Of course, we have our Spring Fling coming up on May 3rd here at the Village Hall. One thing that Ms. McCroy has expressed to me is that who is facilitating a lot of the organization for this event, is that she is having issues finding folks that is willing to serve food, especially food trucks. And as we know by the Village survey that was recently done, constituents and those that are residents want more food options at events, and that will encourage them to hopefully come to those events. Let's see, Ms. McCroy has also informed me that this was a difficult issue for Weddington as well with their food truck Fridays that they've often done during the summers. And John has a couple of ideas that he presented to me of alternative ideas for food for this, and so I'll pass it to John to present some of his ideas.
As Joe pointed out, we got difficulty getting these food trucks to commit without a guaranteed minimum, sometimes thousands of dollars. And we don't know how many we're going to get to the Spring Fling event, and I think it's a lot of risk that might be unnecessary. So one thing we had in the past, you may remember, we had the Snack Shack. Is it Christ Kitchen?
Christ Palsy.
Yeah. And they came with this Snack Shack. They provided burgers, dogs, curly fries, really low cost, good food option. Helped their philanthropy efforts, gave visitors to our events at a decent low cost.
And don't they donate the money they raise?
They do. They use it for
But
food to people who can't afford it.
It's a volunteer.
Unfortunately, no longer an option for us because all their gear was stolen.
Oh.
So we reached out to them. They can't do it for us anymore because they ain't got any gear. You also know from the past, the village, for like National Night Out and other events at the park, has done simple food service at our events. And we've also talked about possibly doing a cookout with council. So, a potential solution is that we acquire the equipment for simple food prep for future events. And then the options would be either we reach out to the Snack Shack people and say, hey, we know your equipment's gone, we've now got some equipment, can you come out and do the food service and allow them to continue to raise funds for philanthropy? Or we can find other volunteers to come out and cook. and maybe offer the equipment for rental to people who come to the park to do a family event. So I looked at several options, and if council would consider approving a $2,000 budget, we could purchase griddle, grill, deep fryer, miscellaneous stuff to have the capability to either allow Christ Kitchen to do it, we can use it for other events in the park, or we can rent it out.
Was Christ Kitchen planning on buying more equipment where they can afford it?
No, they said they had money for it.
No. I think from talking to them, I don't think the drive is there anymore. It doesn't seem like that's what.
Do we,
They were very popular at all the events, and they were very modestly priced. Families loved it.
do we ask that hot dog guy?
Basically, a 4-burner griddle plate, 36 inches, a 8-burner grill, a 2-basket deep fat fryer, a big stock pan for doing corn on the cob or chili or beans or something. We could get
Tables, chairs, tents.
we could get equipped for $2,000, and we could either go to past event budgets we haven't spent, or take it from a future event budget. So no additional money added to the budget, we take it from what we already.
But how does that work with the health department and food inspections? What's,
But how have we dealt with it before when we did
I don't remember.
cooking burgers in Food Line Parking?
That was just hot dogs.
Well, hot dogs, then we did it, we've done it at the park previously, so.
I don't remember what it was.
We did it at the grand opening, we did it
Yeah.
at the National Night Out, we did it...
We've done it several times.
I've looked back on National Night Out.
Were you able to reach out to that hot dog guy?
Yes, left a voicemail. I have not heard back.
Okay. I would rather pay somebody
I know at this point.
$500 to come than,
It's the investment in the equipment, and then where do you store it, and then there's also the...
We can fit in a storage container. I can move things around.
I'm gonna steal the storage container.
Yeah, it's not without issues, but it's a long-term solution because I anticipate we're going to continue to have these problems trying to people. Now, apropos the food truck paying somebody thing, Amy suggested, well, maybe Taco Bell will build it, maybe we can reach out to Taco Bell. I happen to know somebody who works for Taco Bell. My daughter is a general manager. So I reached out to her. The franchise part of Taco Bell does not have mobile capability. Corporate does, but corporate only brings it out for a national disaster. They won't come out for a village event, so we can forget Taco Bell. However, she does know somebody who owns 20 Hungry Howie's who have mobile capability, it's pizza. She reached out to them, see if they'd be willing to do our event. They're still looking for a minimum, but not thousands. So
What's their minimum?
So what they were looking for is a guarantee, their break even is $500.
Done.
So it would be this. If they sell $250 worth of pizza, we owe them $250. If they only sell $100 worth of pizza, we owe them $400. If they sell 500 or more worth of pizza, we don't owe them a penny. So they'd be willing to enter that kind of agreement to do the spring fling and maybe future events.
And the issues we've had with food trucks in the past, as far as the feedback from people attending the events, is if there's not enough food options, you wait forever to get your food because there's only one truck or two trucks. But if there's too many food trucks aren't happy because they don't have enough in sales to justify coming out. So it's always a balancing act of too much food or not enough food. And
Does Jersey Mike's have a minimum? I know they've been willing to come. What is their minimum, do we know?
So,
Because I would almost rather support a local business.
I know, me too.
If
So
they
I
have a
reached
minimum.
out, I'm sorry, Joel.
Go right ahead, I was going to call you up. No, you're
Mayor,
fine.
council, vice chair, events and programs committee, Aaron LaCroix. I did reach out to Jersey Mike's, and the owners have been on vacation for the past 2 weeks. The manager I spoke to, Alex, is very enthusiastic. He's done Westwood Chapel Elementary School, Eagle Family Fun Fest before, really enjoyed it. He's done events with Wesley Chapel in the past, the Village. And he was very enthusiastic. He said he has to touch base with the owners. I don't have any further information, so I apologize.
Yeah.
The feedback I got from Jersey Mike's owner the last time they did an event, I think it was a movie night, is they pre-packaged something like 80 boxes of sandwiches and chips and cookies and these little box things.
Yes.
And they only sold about 20 of them, maybe 25 of them, and the rest they donated to the local.
But if we guaranteed them the $500 versus Hungry Howie's,
Yeah,
You were-
I just haven't gotten to that level of negotiation yet.
There is an advantage, I think, to promoting local businesses in Western
Yes.
Chapel. When you've got a Chick-fil-A and a Taco Bell and,
Yeah.
and other businesses literally within sight of our parking lot, that's a factor as well.
I feel like you were going to say something. Oh, why?
Oh, nothing other than I think probably the Jersey Mike's contact would have to come from the corporate level too, and I've got a person that I just reached out to. Aaron, I'll communicate with you via email to
Yes.
see if there's any opportunities there. There's also an ice cream truck vendor that I met with Saturday that is actually looking for work. Yeah, so I'll pass that information along to you as well.
Thank you.
And-
Anything is wonderful.
And you have money available in past event budgets, right?
Correct.
So what if council tonight were to say, worst case scenario, you go into an agreement with Hungry Howie's for $500. If we cannot work out a similar agreement with Jersey Mike's for around the same price.
Sure. Sounds good. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Does that need to be a formal motion?
Yeah.
Don't be bashful, guys. Raise your hand. Say, so motion, I motion.
So motion.
Is there a second?
Yeah, there's a second. Now, can we repeat what we just motioned?
A motion to,
That's why we need a motion.
a motion to, as last resort, enter into a agreement for Hungry Howie's to come to our event with the minimum of $500 in sales. So if they don't make that, we pay the difference. If we cannot enter into a similar agreement with Jersey Mike's as a local restaurant.
So Jersey Mike's first and Hungry Howie's.
Yes.
Well, at this point, do we need to be as specific as Hungry Howie's or Jersey Mike's? I mean, I think we probably need to
Or
say
anyone that we would. Okay, rescind your second, rescind your first. Now a so motion.
Now so motion.
Yeah, second. Yeah.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous.
So the motion is to guarantee $500 to the vendor of choice that
Yes.
comes,
Yes.
to make sure that the vendor of choice maybe can
Right, if they don't, to make up the difference in their $500 minimum to appear.
Max exposure would be $500.
And as we learn and see how many people come to these things, we'll be able to, might be easier to guarantee them $500 and pay for it ourselves and give out $500 worth of.
We don't have to invest in equipment, the storage, the hassle with the equipment, the food, the accounting with the food permit and
Yeah.
All right, Joe, anything else?
Yes, so on some good news, I did get contacted by a village resident on Facebook on my repost of the invitation to come to the Spring Fling. And they have a small business for doing kids face painting and other things like that. And I connected her with Miss LaCroix, and she's been working with her, and that lady who lives on the east side of the village will be there, and she will be participating in doing face paints and stuff like that. We didn't have any funds to provide to her, but she was willing to do it for free, and I think it will be a great opportunity for us to partner with someone that is a village resident and has a small business and able to use them in the future. As you all guys also know, we also will be showing the Jungle Book movie with popsicles and popcorn, and Mr. Croy has, as we approved at our committee meeting, has bouncy houses and a foam pit that were approved by our committee. which we spent a couple $1,000s on. And surprisingly to me, I believe we have some banners. Is that correct? for
Yes.
this event? Do you mind if we
Have
show
a
you?
present.
Sure.
We
Okay.
also have glow sticks left over from previous.
Sir, I'm sorry.
We have glow sticks left over.
We do. I need to re-up on that because we're going to use some of those, or most of them, for the movie. Yeah. And I have a budget I will hand out to you guys. A draft so far. This is, I got these banners done by a professional at wholesale price. This is the same company that does, Matthews Alive banners. I know that some of our banners were ripping for the survey. I wanted to make sure that would not happen again. I wanted to make sure that these banners were big enough for a very busy Highway 84. This banner can also be reused with different information. So I know eventually the dam will be fixed. It will have to reflect Dogwood Park, different time. The website will remain the same. Joel, do you want to turn it around so the gallery can see?
Absolutely.
Yes. There you go. And Kathy and the attorney, please.
What's the size of this?
This is 10 foot by 4 foot.
That is very pretty.
You did a good
Is
job.
that
And
allowable?
guess what it has?
Yes,
Guess what it
Is that
has?
allowable, Emily?
yes.
Good.
Planning board chair said yeah.
And it has, what is our signature? It has our
Dogwood.
Dogwood flag.
Nice.
It is pretty.
I love it, it's not overly complicated.
Right, it's very simple because everybody is flying on
Yeah.
Highway 84.
Yes.
It needs to be rather big. It's got to be clear and to the point. So this is what we've come up with.
Are there
Good
two of
job.
them, or is there another?
There's two, I know,
Is it
double-sided.
different or the same?
They're both the same, Kathy. Double-sided would have almost doubled the cost. I was trying to keep costs low.
We've done it with a beef pattern.
Yeah, we talked about that with the sign
All kinds of
company,
different-
yeah.
From different locations.
Right. I think this is going to be, this is going to get the job done.
Good.
And we can add on, like I said, we can buy more. These can be
Your
reused.
best bet is laid on the ground.
Yes,
There you
yes.
go.
And then roll
There's
it
a
up.
lot of those.
Yes, I'll roll it up. You continue on.
Yes.
And addresses my biggest complaint over the signs, that I would see something and would not know that it was us.
I heard that from more than just right here.
And
I
so
heard that
I
from other
appreciate
members of the
that.
public, so I was glad to see what I saw as that opened. It looks fantastic. Now moving on to the car show, that will be on June 14th at Village Hall. There will be no entry fee this time to build attendance and rapport with the public, along with basic registration form, judges, and other fun activities that we're working to nail down.
Your budget includes trophies on that?
Yes, we will be working on those trophies as well. Some new things that we have going on is May 7th here at Village Hall at 7 p.m. We have worked with the County Board of Elections, and they will be here talking, they will be our next community conversations, and they will be talking about election law and election integrity, along with what the Board of Elections does, recent updates on elections laws, the differences between national, state, and local elections, as we know here, but not necessarily the general public, and how those constituents can get involved in their elections. Amy is working on a flyer that I actually looked at today, and it looks fantastic already. And we will be getting those out very soon, and we are also working on some future community conversation speakers as well. And then almost to then, we have the Water and Soil Conservation District Supervisor folks coming to talk about multiple different wildlife topics. So I just got to print out the email. Where is that? Right here. There's many different topics that are going to be talked about in June, July, and August for kids and adults, both here at Village Hall and at the park. I can provide you those dates if you'd like to now, or I can email you the council dates so I can try to speak to them as much as possible. Would you guys like those dates at all? They should be posted on the website as well. Yes?
Email would be great.
Okay.
That would be
I'll
nice.
make sure to-
And Joel, before you guys took over, On October 21st at 6:30, Rupert Medford has agreed to come speak on community conversations about coyotes in Union County and coyotes in our area and all that kind of stuff.
21st at what time?
6:30, that's a Tuesday. He was just available then.
Okay.
He's booked up.
If you don't mind emailing me that, just so I can
Sure.
organize that with everything I have going on. And then, one thing that the committee voted on at our last committee meeting was a proposal to have an international food festival, possibly with some food trucks if we can get that. This would be a proposal that would be held on Saturday, July 12th. That was what was agreed to by the committee unanimously. And we are looking for your approval to put that tentatively on the calendar. This would require very little maintenance or planning necessarily by us other than getting food trucks and knowing where to place them. This would be here at Village Hall. Unless someone would like, I guess we could have it at Siler if they wanted to do that there, but.
Would it be inside or outside?
We were thinking a food truck type thing, so
Okay.
mostly outside. Yeah, there wouldn't be, well, obviously a lot of space here for inside, of course.
We had some issues in the past about summer heat and have we thought about what we can do? Because I know you guys had even said at one point, no more summer events.
Yeah.
Because we had some issues with people passing out and stuff. So have you thought about this June car show and the July International?
So the June car show, as I discussed back in February, that's going to be in the morning and early afternoon before it really gets super, super hot or anything. When it comes to this food truck festival, we didn't necessarily nail down a time, and so that's why I was kind of proposing a little bit of Siler since they were here, and also they would be able to hopefully provide some facilities for air conditioning and whatnot in their fellowship hall area, as far as I
And
understand
we've
it.
got those cooling fans. We still have those, right, Mike?
Yes.
John, you've got
If you want to work with Silo though, it has to be voted on by session, so you need to get on it sooner than later.
Okay, got it. But is that something that the council would be?
I think it's
opposed to
a
doing?
brilliant idea. I'd love to have
I
an
don't think we
international
care
food
where you
festival.
have it.
No, just in general,
Oh.
of having it at all. 'Cause I don't know if we need a vote for that by the council, as far as I understand we do. But anyway, it was voted on unanimously by the committee at our last committee meeting. You guys.
And what was the date again?
It was the 12th of July, which is a Saturday.
Are there times on any of these, by the way?
The car show,
The car show is June 14th.
yes, correct. And that is not set in stone for
Okay.
exact time on that, but
Okay.
as I said, it will be in the morning to early afternoon. And then the Spring Fling is 4 to 7.
And, okay.
And the community conversations is 7 p.m.
Are these new events or the same, we approved for, the council approved for, are these new?
Correct. The Spring Fling is not new. The car show is not new. And the only new one would be the International Food Festival.
And that's set July 12th?
That is the proposed date, yes.
Okay. Council would need to just approve that in
Correct.
addition to the other.
So is there a motion to approve this event with the location TBD?
I would like to I think it's a great, the international thing you're talking about? the
Mhm. Yes,
international
that's
food?
what we're on.
Yeah, I mean, I'd make a motion that we allow the committee to have a international food-ish thing at July 12th.
Although I'm sure, I do not think alcohol is allowed, if that would be part of it.
But I wasn't presuming alcohol.
Okay.
I was thinking just food. At least that's what
You're
I
old enough
think.
to drink, young man.
Well, I am actually.
You are?
Yeah, he's
I
actually.
plan to. That's okay. I'm not a drinker though, but that's not normally what I think of when I think of food. I actually think of food.
So is there a second? Anybody else want
Is
to?
there a second? Deb approved.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
Who are you gonna, what different international things are you gonna try to,
We hadn't yet discussed that
Okay.
at the time.
that's a really good idea.
Necessarily when I think of international, I want to try to get something a bit more exotic than like, nothing against Hispanic people, Mexican food, but I think there's a lot
You
of
got the
Mexican
curry
restaurants.
thing here, you know?
Yeah, for example, something like more Asian. I personally prefer prefer a lot of
Yeah, Connie's
Mediterranean,
and-
maybe some African food that people may not normally have. So that's personally what I was thinking. Obviously, I don't know what food trucks are out there. Maybe Amy has an idea.
I've been gathering, but two, I was what we were thinking of was, if you know anybody could do crafts or demonstration, arts and crafts and dance. If you know people like President Chapel Elementary used to have cultural art festivals when my oldest was there. And just something just to share, not just food, but and nothing too heavy, just simple.
Yeah, and there's some of those choirs in the schools may be willing to do some songs, entertain music with different.
They're not in school.
Yeah, that'll be after school. Is out June the 12th?
Correct. July.
July.
July. Okay.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Unanimous?
All right, and now to ending out my report. The committee's next meeting is the 24th at the end of the month, and we will be working on the social media mission statement as I stated at the beginning, along with the committee's budget, which will be approved next committee meeting. And as I said, we will be ironing out some of the final details on Spring Fling and the other events that we have, including the International Food Truck Festival that we now have. And I will get you those dates for the Water District Supervisor folks. Why not? So,
Awesome.
any other further questions or details?
Good job.
No,
Good
thank
job.
you.
Thank you, I
Very
appreciate
good
it.
job. As
One
usual.
question on the budget.
Yes.
Are you going to work with John on that?
Yes, John and I have already been in conversation with those types of things. So yeah, absolutely. It's not from what I understand, it's not rocket science, not very hard, so it should be. Anyway.
And Miss Johnson, I will move you straight up after this handsome fella.
Do you have that? There was another program for events and programs.
American Super comment on that.
Oh, the 2050?
Oh, yeah.
I just be prepared for that. I can go next on the agenda.
So they have just asked if we want to be involved. And I've said yes, but I'm not sure exactly what else to say to them. Maybe I could have them come to your,
Committee meeting?
yes.
Please.
Let me,
Yes, sure. The 24th.
okay.
Good evening. It's after 2100 hours. Gotcha. You should have the car show on June 14th because it is Flag Day, and it also is the anniversary and birthday of somebody who will be 250 years old. Their slogan is, "This we'll defend." That is the birthday of the United States Army, June 14, 1775. And
Awesome.
also Flag Day.
Yes.
Very good.
All right? So, as we go along here, as we enter in, we're going to have the 250th anniversary committee starting up. We'll be probably involved in one of them. Ms. Malcolm, before I forget, I need to give you names of food trucks. I know lots and lots of food trucks.
You will be in the
Lots of food trucks. Wow, the part about stormwater amendment and temporary signs. We gave it to you, it's there, there is no update, it's been approved for stormwater, and that sign is good. Temporary sign. It's fantastic.
Wonderful.
That's it, that's all I have. Ms. Hunt, would you like to add anything else about the stormwater update that we've already went through and voted on, and temporary signs that we voted on?
If you're ready for me to start on that, okay. So we have two motions, or requested motions in front of you for called public hearings for the May meeting. The first one is about stormwater ordinance amendment. The planning board recommended in favor of it. Basically what we did is we pulled together there was stormwater provisions all over the subdivision ordinance and the zoning ordinance. We pulled it into one section. We had it looked at by our previous village engineer. The biggest change, recommended change, is about stormwater control measures. And this is about having them designed to drain directly into perennial streams. And so if you are developing something and the stormwater is going to run off into the neighbor, we are having the developer meet and work with the neighboring property to have a to have that water conveyed into a conveyance, so some sort of type of conveyance within, to get it to a perennial stream. And so that way, because we've had a lot of problems for people with the basic regulations that, okay, the water originally went onto the neighbor's property, and so now it's okay to go onto the neighbor's property, but it's now all controlled, and it's just spraying at the neighbor's property. So we're putting in the ordinance that they have to actually meet and work with the neighboring properties to have some sort of stormwater conveyance that will be maintained in perpetuity by the developer. So that's a provision that's in the ordinance. So a lot of it's just, like I said, putting it together from all the different areas, so you don't have something in the subdivision ordinance. Somebody said, well, I'm not doing a subdivision, so this doesn't really pertain to me. So we're putting it all into one section of the ordinance. So what we're asking for tonight is a motion to set a public hearing for this text amendment for the May meeting.
So do I have a motion?
Motion to call a public hearing in regards to the stormwater ordinance.
For their May
Or
meeting.
May, whatever date that is,
Second.
meeting.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
And you need a second.
I did.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
that's
sorry.
good.
Go ahead.
I need to do louder.
All in favor? Unanimous?
And the next text amendment that we are proposing that had approved recommendation from the planning board at their March meeting is a text amendment for amendment to the temporary signs. This is for if you're doing a subdivision or some sort of site, commercial development, to allow for them to have 2 freestanding temporary signs not exceeding 24 square feet or 10 feet in height to be placed on the property. So for example, on a commercial piece of property, you would see it, and you've probably seen it in other places where it has the general contractor and it has, the proposed coming soon tenants, that type of development, type of sign. And for a subdivision, it would have the developer, proposed lot numbers, that type of thing. We just had, this came to our attention as staff, it came because there was a developer that wanted to do something like this. But our ordinance would only allow them to have 4 signs for a year, but it wasn't even for a whole year. They'd only get 4 permits. So it only covered them for about 90 days. And so what this would do is it would allow them, for commercial, once we approve a site plan, they'll be able to put the sign and have it there, but only on the site where it's developed, because that was one of the things that came up with the planning board was we want to make sure that we're, for a subdivision, they can't put up the sign a mile down the road for the development. It has to be on the property itself. So like I said, what we're asking for is to set a public hearing for the May 12th meeting.
Does that specify how far from the road it has to be? Because I've seen sometimes they put these signs like right up against the road.
Well, it has to be outside the right of way.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, just a question. 10 foot by 4 foot sign is 40 square feet in my math, and our limit is 24 square feet.
That is why this is different. This is kind of like a sign that's going to be more permanent.
Right, it would be there longer than what we allow right now, because as you can see, right now, we only allow 1 temporary sign for 30 days.
But this is the entirety of the ordinance that you included in the note here, right? So it applies to any temporary signs?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. The only part that's new is the underline.
Right, so everything in
Okay.
this ordinance would apply to our own sign, which would be in violation.
Going back to those signs, yes, they can only supposed to be 24 square feet. Those signs?
What signs are you talking about? These signs here, the street? They're exempt because they're town.
Well, they're exempt, they're exempt based on the number of signs allowed, but not
Not
the
the
square
sign.
footage. Not the square footage.
Signs owned and erected by the Village of Wesley Chapel are exempt from limitations on the number of times that temporary signs may be displayed and limitations on the duration of display established. We
Yeah,
did that
those
because
are
we kept
all
wanting to put the same signs up for the park.
Those too big now?
I knew when she-
They've always been too big.
I knew when she brought them in, and she
Yeah.
was like, oh, those aren't gonna,
That's why everybody kind of looked at me and I was.
those aren't gonna
Yeah.
fly.
That's why Emily
Those
couldn't answer.
don't. But she spent so much time and effort to create them, I just cringed when I saw them.
But
We're
no,
talking about the temporary building signs.
no, because temporary signs are temporary signs.
Right.
And we did put that exemption in there for ourselves because otherwise we wouldn't have been able to put a park event sign back in the same place.
Right.
Right,
And so,
but yeah, but it did not exempt.
So we're gonna knowingly violate our own ordinance.
Or we can do a text.
We could do a what?
Texting.
Can you add size to the exemption?
If you put the banner up in the park, that's okay.
No,
You can't put the banner in the park?
yeah, but it's going to take for square.
So can council add a one time a year size exemption?
I make a motion that we have a,
but also just to note, if we make any changes to this, it has to go back to the planning board.
Yeah.
Call a special meeting.
I can't see things that far away.
Well, actually, we haven't.
Why couldn't you go in the park?
That's the,
If you keep them and you put them in the park to advertise when people go in the park, that's okay because they're on your property. You don't have to get rid of them. You can use them again, correct?
I don't think so.
no.
It's inside your park, it's in your property.
It doesn't matter. I don't think it
I
matters.
thought the sign was supposed to be explained from the road to the public. If the sign is in your park, the park, then the public is seeing it as they enter the park. It's not the motoring public that sees it.
If it's a
And if
permanent
it's on
sign,
your town property, village hall property, then the public can see it, but it's not being seen from the road because those are the signs, the temporary signs, are signs that are placed in or near the right of way.
that's not what the ordinance says.
Can we blind copy planning board members and take a vote that way?
No, you can't do that. No.
So lesson learned, check the ordinances. first.
You probably hang it from the village hall.
You could see them from the park from here.
Yeah.
Ask for forgiveness later.
No.
Willingly violating?
What's
Oh.
the penalty, $50? Just go away. Our pockets are deep.
This is not when you do civil disobedience. They were a stupid sign, sorry.
I say if you put it on your property or put it inside the park, when you see it, it's...
Let's ask the attorney.
The attorney.
I mean, I don't know the answer. I was just looking at this with Emily. But I mean, it seems like the limitation is the size. The size limitation is the size limitation. I mean, that's the way it reads.
I knew
I
as
mean,
soon
I
as
just read it just now, but that's the way it reads.
I knew as soon as I saw her walking with those, I'm like, oh, I don't even want to be bad news to tell her that those aren't gonna work.
there's nowhere that'll work. How about
No,
hanging
not where you
up
want
inside
movies.
town hall?
Well, inside the building? Yeah, who's gonna see it there?
The front of town hall?
The Parks and Rec Committee can go hold it up at the school parking lot and then put it down. Okay, well,
Let's move on past that.
yeah, let's keep going. Yeah, oh, yeah, we need a motion for a call public hearing for the May 24th meeting for the temporary sign ordinance update.
So motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Who has more words?
Well, it's not the,
All
it's
in
May
favor?
12th, not the 24th.
The next council meeting. All in favor?
Yep.
All right, I would like to skip ahead to the P&G easement agreement because Ms. Johnson has been waiting ever so kindly, enjoying our wittiness. I don't even know what to say, Emily, my brain is dead. It is 9:25.
Vacation warm off.
It's 9:25. And there are 3 days left till spring break. Miss Johnson, I teach second grade, and I have 18 babies waiting on me in the morning.
Bless you.
Yeah. And 4 at home if you count my husband.
Oh, I'm gonna tell him you said that.
Throw the dog in.
So we've negotiated. We gave them Kathy reached out and found some numbers for our remediation cost for our corner up here that is heavily wooded. Urban Forester was involved, so we did get a few dollar bang for our buck there. They are basing these numbers off something Fair Vaughn sent me.
Sorry, I did that, you were looking at my
Vaughn seems okay with it if we proceed. So we have a temporary construction and temporary access easement agreement. And then we have the compensation agreement for both trucks. Remember, them coming in on our side does save some money, or save some trees for the neighbors, which was our intent. They did go back and slightly revise their thoughts based on hoping to save some more trees. Would you like to come up and speak to us?
Happy to. Thank you.
You probably do it better than me.
The reason for the project is because of the NCDOT.
They didn't cause any problems.
No. No. So because of the road improvement project, Piedmont Natural Gas has to relocate its existing pipeline that runs alongside 84 and Waxhaw Indian Road. The impact to the village of Wesley Chapel's property is a small temporary construction easement on the corner of the village property over near the drainage.
It's like right here.
Yeah, the BMP area. And they also need a temporary access easement from the alignment along the Blackstone neighborhood across the village's property. And have shifted that recently so it does not impact the retail center development, the new parking area there. The plan is hopefully to start construction in August if somebody acquires all of the easements that she has to acquire, and hopefully be completed by the end of this year. So that's the good news. I thought it was going to take a year to a year and a half, but now they're saying they can get it done in about 4 months. I don't know if you have any other questions, but included in the compensation is your estimate for the replacement trees. The tree restoration cost is $18,820. And the offer compensation was based on fair market value per acre of $420,000.
And Kathy did work with the landscaper and the urban forester to get those numbers for the tree remediation. And I'm going to strongly suggest that if council goes with this, that we use those funds to work on the filling it back in the buffer, or some funds to do the buffer.
Between us and Blackstone.
Yeah.
And I would, to go along with that, I had emails with one of the property owners that's in the village, that's in Blackstone, it's adjacent to this, and that was also his request, or his ask, was that money be spent in filling in the trees and helping with the buffer.
We are still negotiating with the property owners.
Okay. So, council, the easement agreement and two compensation agreements were in your packet. We just need a motion to approve or deny.
There are 3 motions listed, but we can do them as a group.
We can't do one?
You can do a group if you're going to accept all of them, we can just do this.
All right, motion to approve the P&G easement agreements for tracks 400 and 400.1, the compensation agreement for track 400, and the compensation agreement for track 400.01.
I'll second that.
So you're grouping them all together.
Yep.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? And we'll get those signed into you.
Go feed my grown baby.
Sorry we kept you here so late.
No, I think he gave up on me already, so that's good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Then that leads us to the county stormwater update. Emily, do you have an update? Because I got an update from a neighbor.
Did they get a letter?
Yeah,
Okay.
but you go ahead.
Yes, so I met with Indian Trail, the county, and SWCA, who's the engineering firm on the 4th. We discussed the letter that was going to go out. I'm not sure if y'all have all seen this. This is the letter that was sent out by the county. Just letting them know that the county has partnered with us, Indian Trail, to evaluate stormwater drainage in the area, letting them know that they will be seeing survey crews, collecting data. The surveyors will be using unmanned aircraft systems or drones along the area. The surveyors really probably are not going to be entering their private property. They just want to let them know that there will be surveyors along that area to gather data. And then at our meeting on the 4th, we also discussed that we will be getting back together at the end of May to discuss the findings from the engineer and the data.
Wonderful update. Finally moving forward. Encroachment study update?
They're working on it.
They're working on it. Traffic impact analysis. They're working on it. I love that update. Traffic impact analysis, the on-call contracts that we're going to need for upcoming subdivisions. You did see contracts in there for Kimley Horn and RSNH. They are willing, Vaughn has talked to them, they are willing to do their professional services for $200 per hour. So that would be what we would enter into them an on-call contract for.
Isn't that typically paid for by the developer?
It will be paid for by the developer, not by
But
us.
this is to represent us, not the developer.
But actually, they would reimburse. The
But the developer pays for it, but they're representing us.
They're representing us, but yes,
We will bill the
that's actually
developer.
already in there, that the reimbursement of costs for
So
any
the-
contracted engineer would be reimbursed.
So it's net zero?
It's net zero.
Okay, just clarifying.
Yeah,
But we get coverage now.
yeah.
I had to clarify.
Right, we do the contract to have them be able to.
Thank you.
That's why.
I make a motion that we accept the contracts with Kimberly Horn, RSNH, regarding on-call contracts for traffic impact analysis.
Okay, I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Let's keep going. Commercial center development update. We are still, George can speak to this, we are still hammering out details of the Aston easement agreement. We are currently waiting on meets and bounds and
I think Vaughn responded to the last series of emails. I think you just need to run eyes over the last
okay,
revisions I sent,
okay.
and then I can send it back over.
I will do that tonight. So hopefully TBD, hopefully you'll hear how that will be coming up for resolution. I hope. Roundabouts, we've already talked about 84 improvement. Do you have any road improvement updates to share?
No, that was the one.
Would this be a good place to stick in that question I had asked you yesterday? any council members attending the event.
Oh, yeah, you can, and David added 2 traffic concerns too, but it doesn't matter, go ahead.
No, first of all, I had misread the date. It said the 14th, but I thought it was the 14th of this month. It's actually the 14th of the next month. There's a luncheon at the Ag Center at the county level, and just wanted to see if anybody had interest in attending. I think we all got the email. Was there anybody who specifically wanted to go to that? I have no idea what my schedule will allow, but just wanted to get a consensus of the rest of the council to see if anybody else had interest.
What's the lunch for?
It is specifically about the road improvements for the county. And we all got the email.
I'm not available that day, I got appointments that day.
You know your appointments a month in advance? I'm surprised. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. I just didn't know if anybody else was interested in attending.
All right, so thank you for representing us, Mike. David, you had 2 traffic concerns.
Yeah, the center director of Huntington Learning Center over here, Barb Ballard, reached out to me this weekend about the concerns of her concerns with the number of accidents happening right behind Huntington. If you're at the stoplight and going north, there's 3 exits out of the Food Line, the Food Line Shopping Center. The first one is only a right-hand turn because there's a median there. The second one is right beside the Learning Center, and the third one is further down, closer to the end of the parking lot, where there doesn't.
The fitness center.
Yeah, the fitness center. Yeah, where I think maybe the sight lines are a little bit clearer, and making a left-hand turn is maybe a little bit easier. But she said that they hear or witness at least 1 accident here a week.
Is that somebody turning left across the traffic with somebody in the right-hand turn lane?
That's people turning left. Yeah.
Is that
Yeah,
facing
coming up.
Food Line coming out of Harris Teeter going left?
Well, it will eventually be a roundabout, right?
Yes. And the sight lines aren't bad, because the one where you have to come out of the median, right? The problem is that traffic backs up. I don't know if anybody's ever noticed that.
Yes, it does.
But traffic backs up, so you've got the turn lane to 84 and then the other lane to 84. And so by the time you get to that second entrance that goes in front of Food Line, you really can't see because you have 2 lines of traffic blocking it. And then the next one is a better line of sight because the lines usually don't go quite that far. But if you're sitting there, you can't see around them, people get tired waiting and then they just shoot it. And then instead of trying to turn into the middle of the road and see if they go, they just go.
So my ask
What I
is,
have witnessed.
yeah, my ask is this, twofold, that we reach out to Brandon to see how many, if there are a number of accidents that are occurring there. And if there are, then we look at least bringing it up to DOT or whoever would then try to put together some type of remedy. But I really feel like that.
But other than rush hour, it's not a problem.
With the road widening, it'll be a roundabout,
Well,
whenever that happens.
yeah, I cannot tell you whether it's rush hour or not, but
No, I'm
I
just
can
saying.
tell you that she's there every day and she witnesses
But
that.
I'm just saying that, as much as I go through the shopping center,
Yeah.
that other than rush hour, when the traffic backs up,
Yep.
you've got plenty of visibility.
Yeah. Which brings me to item number 2, and that is the traffic light at Shamwood and Potter's. I've had a dozen residents reach out to me and ask why at midnight they've got to stop at that light and stay stopped when there's no traffic coming off of Shamwood.
Same reason I have to at Potter and Potter.
Okay.
I would tell them they don't.
Mike, you did not hear that.
They all asked if there was any way that we could reach out to DOT to see if those could be flashing other than the times that they're really needed, and that is the school entry and school exit times.
I can ask Sean about that one.
Okay.
I'll ask Brandon about the other.
Well, the good thing about it is number of accidents dictates the amount of action you get from the DOT. So if there are an accident at that one intersection every week, that'll kind of force them to, for safety reasons, make it a higher priority.
But realistically, there's not much you can do.
Oh,
Other than put in more lights or
Or
around.
median, or,
The people have to turn left, and there's no other way. If you go out the other way, you can't go back around that way without going left. You can't go north without going
down to the
left.
next one.
No, there is no next one. You in that shopping center, if you come out by the bank, you're going right, or you're going to go across to Harris Theater, and it's even worse. I'm just saying, we can't have a right in, right out, and you have to go 4 miles around to get to there. But the construction work on the Potter and Potter area is moving.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
It better start moving fast because they're supposed to break ground
But
June.
I don't know, Mike, if you can find your people that filled in those big holes before, they're back.
Yeah, I know.
They're awful.
Yeah, well, they've already moved all the power lines, they moved the major utilities, they have the surveyors out there. Everything looks like they're set to go. It really doesn't take that much to rip up the road once all the utilities are moved out. And usually they wait 1 week after school's officially over, and then they'll start the project.
But those big holes where people made that.
Yeah, I know.
Right,
I
they're,
have filled
they're
in,
back.
and then they keep driving over it.
And it's awful. I mean, you can see the pavement and the gap down here in 2 different spots on it.
But usually, about 1 month before they start a project like that roundabout, they're gonna come and the construction company's gonna post the detour. Like, they're gonna give the village the plans for the detour of that traffic. And that's when you know it's gonna happen.
I'll enjoy my private driveway.
Me too.
Oh, and I'm not 100% sure, but DOT is not going to change the traffic, the light at Schaumwood and Potter. Because once it's set, it's time for the other light, and it's time for the other light. And they usually don't
No,
make it flash.
I disagree with that.
You don't think they will?
No. I've been through there all times of the day, different times of the day, and there doesn't seem to be any pattern between what's happening at 84 and what's happening at Shamwood.
There's been a guy out there the last couple of days in his little RHIS truck or whatever, watching the lights. I don't know if that helps.
What it does during rush hour is one thing. What it does at 11 o'clock at night is totally different. I agree that there should just be a way of setting it to just flash when it's not peak times.
Shamwood is not that busy of a road.
Yeah.
You can talk to him, Mr. Reynolds.
He's on speed dial.
Glad it's you, not me. Any more traffic concerns before we move forward? Okay, that leads us to mayor and council comments because we had to put a closed session as 13B. So who would like to go first?
I'll take a stab at it. Just to reiterate what John said, we've got lines in Wesley Chapel, we've got voter lines, we've got school lines, we've got fire district lines, we've got postal district lines, we've got lines that we don't even know about. I really want to see us move forward on talking to the fire marshal, and I don't want John to have to come to my house if he has a heart attack to call 911 because they'll get to him faster. I know that's just a simple phone call, but I'd like to see us really.
The thing I don't understand.
There's only one entrance.
No. Specific to EMT aspect of it is we have separate EMT units. So why are they, and they park at Target. I mean, why are they tied to the fire district?
First response comes from wherever your fire district is. Usually the first to show up is the fire department with their paddles. If you live where Mike does, they come from Western Chapel Fire Station. If you live where I do, you gotta wait for them to get there from Middle Springs.
And they have to drive past my house.
Well, I understand the problem in there, but my comment was more about the EMTs sit around in all these different places so they can be quick to the response. So I don't understand why that's tied to a fire district and why they aren't responding.
Because the first people to show up are always always the fire department. The EMT, usually, I've seen it so many times in our neighborhood. EMT comes back to the fire department within that 10 minutes.
No, that was it. That was under council comments, that's all I had.
Next.
I got nothing.
Saves you, Dave.
Oh, nothing.
All right, so thank you to the audience. And thank you to Emily, you're good. Thank you, Amy.
Motion to go into closed session for personnel discussion.
Yep,
After a restroom break.
after a restroom break. You can go to the restroom.
I seconded.
Nobody.
Nobody. Mike, all in favor?
Yeah.
Unanimous.
You take care of those.
Girl, don't even. Did you get my text?
Were you gonna, did you, I mean, I can get in touch with those people about those
See you over there.
things.
They're smoking
Okay.
all night.
I'd written it down and then you were like, I'll just take care of it. And I was
You
like,
want me my post-its?
I mean, I'll take your
Yeah, when you get up and
post-it.
start giving speeches, there's a problem.
Okay.
I love annoying Sean, but I'll let you do it myself.
But before you leave, I need some personal advice.